If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is episode 425 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abul-Samad from Telemetry.
And I am Nicole Wakeland. Let's go with Car Talk this week.
And I am Roberto Baldwin from SAE International.
And as you this time, usually we're only in two different time zones, Eastern and Pacific time in the U.S. This time we're in three different time zones as we record
Someone's
this.
bragging is what's happening. That's what's happening right now.
I'm in Japan Central Time, or Japan Standard Time, which means that it is 6 a.m. Japan time on Sunday, November 2nd.
Now you know my pain.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm about 8 hours away from heading back to Haneda Airport to head back to Detroit.
Oh.
But
you have
been
free
here
day?
in Japan all week. Huh?
Is it
Yeah.
free day? All right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Free day is the best.
So since it's a free day, so hence I'm sitting here at 6 o'clock in the morning recording a podcast.
Doing a podcast.
well, we should be very quick because being in Tokyo, roaming around is far more important than chatting with us.
Exactly. You need to get back out there and explore some while you're there, Sam.
Yeah. All right. So let's get started. Nicole,
Okay.
what have you been driving?
Yes. So I have two vehicles. So I'm
you're already messing it up, Nicole.
What? I know. I'm gonna be quick. So I had
Take your time. I got lots of time.
I had the 25 Subaru Forester Wilderness like last week. So this is, the Subaru's been doing a whole bunch of the Wilderness trim is their sort of more rugged trim, which is kind of funny because Subaru, to begin with, they're pretty rugged to begin with. They're the kind of cars people just buy.
It's more rugged.
It's more rugged. It's got more rugged than the average Subaru. And it looks cool. It has I forgot what the color's called. I'm going to call it orange because that's the color of off-roading, but I think they call it bronze. It's like, I didn't look up the exact way they phrased it.
I'll look it
Subaru's
up.
going to get mad at me. So it has those accents on it to let you know that it's something special. It was funny. As I was driving to the airport in it, I passed myself, the exact same car, the exact same color, the exact same everything. I was like, hey, neighbor. So it was kind of fun. I like this. I mean, I like Subarus. I think Subarus do a good job of being exactly what they say they're going to be without anything extra. They're not overly fancy. They're not overly done. They're just these nice, comfy, rugged, durable cars. You can put your dog inside. They can run around their muddy paw prints. They're perfectly fine. You don't have to worry about it. It's a kind of car I'll just take this one. It's not going to cause any problems. So it has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine in it, 180 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. It's not especially robust when it comes to acceleration, but it has more than enough oomph to get out of its own way. I enjoyed driving it. We had some actually terrible windy, rainy weather that I was driving in on the highway, which is sort of a weird test of a vehicle because you think snow is rough weather, but everybody kind of slows down in the snow. No one slows down in the rain, or at least they don't hear it. It's like they forget about it. It's not LA where the world comes to a screeching halt. So people just fly along, and it can be a little disconcerting sometimes because there's a lot of puddles. There are all these puddles on the highway that are just begging for you to hydroplane, but it handled really, really well. I was impressed with how it did because I was driving to the airport first thing in the morning on the day that it was pouring rain. It's got great cargo room, 29.6 cubic feet behind the second row, 69.1 when you fold that down. So it's a great vehicle if you want that extra room and you want all that space. They have, for the infotainment, it has an 11.6-inch screen on it with Subaru's Starlink multimedia system. I'm not a huge fan of their infotainment. I mean, it works. They all work, right? None of them don't work. I just don't find this one as intuitive, and something about the screen, it looks a little bit, I don't know, the layout maybe, or something about it always feels like it's a little old, even though that's a good size screen, which should make it feel more new. Somehow it feels a little bit dated to me, although it works just fine. So overall, I liked I like this vehicle, and it has 9.2 inches of ground clearance. So, again, you can take it a little more off-road than you would with other vehicles. And what I like that for, for me, the reason I want a vehicle with extra ground clearance is literally about snow. And it's not like there's 9.2 inches of snow generally on the ground, like driving. But if you're in a neighborhood, when they plow, as they're plowing their little pattern, there's a moment where there's a berm of snow at certain side streets that you have to get through or over
Or at the end of your driveway.
or at the end of your
Yeah, you
driveway.
gotta
And
plow
you
through
have
it.
Right? And
Mhm.
it's the thing is, no matter how good your sedan is or any kind of low vehicle, it's just begging for you to get stuck in that. And having something with a little more ground clearance gives you just a little bit better of a chance that you're going to blast through that snow berm. And with winter, like it's cold here right now. I can feel winter is coming. And to think about having a car that I know is not as liable to get me stuck is a big deal. I think that's why Subarus are so popular in New England. And again, it's not like I know that it's supposed to be an off-road thing and a capability thing. I always look at that. My first thought is, how well will that get through the snowbank at the end of my driveway? you know. So I like this. I think it's a good vehicle. It is the Wilderness is, let's see, Wilderness is 36,815. Want to guess on destination, according to what I have when I look this up, and who knows if it's right now.
1,600.
1395.
Sam wins. It's 1420 is what I got when I was looking things
Oh,
up. I don't even care if it's right anymore because I feel like it changes, and I can look on the OEM site. It's vaguely $1,400. So it's not crazy. Like, yeehaw, because wait till you hear the next vehicle I drove
It's
and
not
how
crazy.
expensive that one
Well,
is.
it's not an American car, so
All right. Yeah. Bingo.
that's
Uh,
where all of this is going.
So that's the Subaru Forester Wilderness, which I really like. I've driven it before, and I think their Wilderness is neat. I think they look good. They add a little bit more pizzazz to the Subaru vehicles with the extra accents and ground clearance. They have like all-terrain tires and stuff. So it's a nice upgrade for a vehicle that is already great for driving in crummy conditions to begin with. So that was one vehicle I have. The second one, unsurprisingly, has a much higher destination charge because not only is it an American car, it's a truck.
Dun dun
So,
dun.
dun dun dun. So I had my Monroney is wrong. So what I had was the 2026 Ram 1500 in the Bighorn trim with the new 5.7 liter Hemi V8. My Monroney says that I have a Warlock. That's not what I have. I went out there and double checked. I'm like, it literally says Bighorn on the dashboard. This is not correct. In a moment of confusion, I was like, I swear it said Bighorn on the dashboard. I go out and I look. I'm like, yep, shut the door. So this one, since we're talking about the differences in pricing, this comes in at a price of, and I was putting together so there could be extras on mine, but $55,620. Do you want to guess what the destination is on this puppy?
23.
well, I mean, we've talked about this at far too much length repeatedly over the last several months. So I know that if you get one right now, I'm guessing that your Monroney probably says 2,095. I think, but I know that right now, if you go to a Ram dealer, it will cost you $2,595.
You are correct. And my Monroney, I didn't even look at it because this is not the vehicle I'm driving. So now it's just a Monroney for a different truck.
$2,600.
All the full size trucks and SUVs are now $2,600. Yeah,
That's a lot, right?
That's another
they've
car.
gone up multiple times in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we've been talking about this delivery charge stuff for ages.
Yeah.
And, now all of a sudden in the last few weeks, everybody else is starting to catch on. I just saw there was an article, I think, in Automotive News this week about, rising delivery charges. There was something else. There was a couple of other websites that had articles about this. And of course, none of them cite us for exposing the scandal
The scandal
ridiculous
of the
delivery
destination charge.
We're-
It's just insane.
We're trendsetters. If the people in the know, they know to listen to this podcast.
Right,
they know
exactly.
what they're
We
doing.
have all the
Well,
details.
for a long time, if the New York Times would cite or wouldn't cite any tech sites, it would just say
Mhm.
a tech blog. It didn't matter if it was Wired or
Really?
Gizmodo. They weren't blogs. It wouldn't. There was no link to it. Like, so they would take the news that someone else broke and then say, according to a tech blog, and then write the article.
Oh, that's obnoxious.
And well, I think the Times still has a policy of not linking out, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
I don't think that they link out to
They
other
should
sites
at least
ever.
say who it came from. Like, this
I
came
know.
from blah, blah, blah,
Well,
not
you
like
know.
random site we're giving no credit for
Yeah,
giving us our
no.
news story.
The Times. though.
Anywho, so I have the Ram 1500 Bighorn, which is a crew cab 4x4, and it has a short bed on it. First thing, Robbie's making little like horn things on his head. So first thing is, this thing sounds amazing. Thing sounds fantastic. It sounds
That's the
so
only
good.
reason this version exists. because of how
And you
it
know
sounds.
what? That enough? That's it. This is what you need to know. Pressing the start button is the best part of your day. Okay, that's it. That's my whole review.
And then it's
That's
all
the review.
downhill from there.
It's all
But no, it's yeah, right. But it might be. But this is really fun. So it has the 5.7 liter V8 engine, which has oh my God, I just forgot. 395 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. I was trying to figure out exactly what mine had, but I don't know. But that's what it's coming up, I guess.
I
is
think that's. I know the 395 is right. I think the 410 is right.
yeah,
too.
the 410. Here we go. So 8-speed automatic transmission. It is the exhaust note is just amazing. Everything about this is amazing. The exhaust, the engine, the sound of this. Okay, so I parked it behind Russ's car the one day by accident. So when he got up before me and had to leave early, he had to move it. And I was sound asleep. And I remembered that I had put the truck behind his car because all I hear was in the driveway at like 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, that sounds glorious. Like, it just sounds so good. It is really fun to drive. It's just, you know what? This is why you have a Hemi. I know it has that, and it has that little badge on the side. What are the symbol of protest, Hemi fender badge.
The
It's cute.
symbol of
It-
protest?
That's what they
it is
call
the
it.
official Tim Kaniskis badge.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
The Tim
God.
Kaniskis badge. It is, yes, and they call it the symbol of protest, and it looks
Against
like a little
what?
engine with like a little
Against
like,
being relegated to mere 6-cylinder engines with more power, more torque,
no,
and better fuel efficiency.
Stop with your logic, Sam. This is amazing. I want to say this is really dumb and this is stupid and you shouldn't do it. And why did they do it? And there's no reason to whatsoever. And then you turn it on and you hear it and you feel it and you drive it. You're like, this is why. This is why. This is not a logic-based purchase. This is totally an emotional
definitely
purchase.
not.
And I would, if I was buying a truck, I'm like, yep, the emotions would get me. I'd be buying this one because it was just fun to drive. I also like that it's a short bed because, again, I drove it into the city again. And the short bed made it a little easier to maneuver in a parking garage because that long bed can be tough if you end up with, guy with long bed parked behind you and you're suddenly trying to back up and you're like, I have 3 feet. Like, it's just like an 89-point turn to get out of the parking space. So I like how it handled. It looks great inside. I still think that Ram's interiors are fantastic. I think they consistently do a good job on them. I think they look good. I think they're comfortable. They look more premium. I've always loved their interiors, and I think they're great. This has like that giant infotainment screen. It is, as I flip my paper around, 12-inch infotainment screen. I mean, it looks great. There's the thing with it is this is pricey. It has a crazy destination, and the fuel economy, from what I have looked up, is not great. It is 16 city, 20 highway, 18 combined. But the way it sounds, people, forget about the fuel economy.
Last week or earlier this week, TFL Truck posted a video. Our buddy Andre picked up a new, because they wanted to test, a relatively more affordable full-size pickup truck.
Okay.
And so Andre went to Detroit and he got a Ram 1500, a new Ram 1500 Express, I think, with the Hurricane engine, the standard output Hurricane, 3-liter Hurricane.
Mhm.
And he road tripped that back from Detroit back to Colorado, where they're based. and then did the fuel economy measurements. A few weeks ago, they had a 2026 Ram 1500 Hemi, which they also did their fuel economy testing on, and they got like 18.1 or something like that with the Hemi. With the Hurricane, which has again more power, more torque, and costs less, he got 25 miles per gallon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Again,
it
did I
is
mention it's not
objectively
being-
in every way a better engine, and more affordable, and yet it doesn't have that sound of a Hemi.
It doesn't sound. I told you this is not like there's not there. The logic will leave you, and here's what I see happening: a logical person goes into the dealership, is like, I don't want that Hemi because that's all these reasons not to, and he goes drive it, and he pushes a button, and he goes sold. That's literally that's all it takes. It sounds so darn good, and it is really fun to drive. And a couple of truck people asked me about it, like, hey, because you know what they noticed? They noticed the little symbol of protest, the Kaniskas badge,
TIM
on
badge?
there, the TIM badge on there. So people are excited about it. I think. I'm not anti either engine. I'm saying how fun this is. If this is what you want, get it. Like I've always been yes, a car has to fit your needs, a truck has to fit your needs, an SUV has to fit your needs. But if it fits your needs and you like one that makes no logical sense for a variety of reasons, but it's in your budget and makes you happy, knock yourself out. Buy the vehicle that makes you happy. And if this makes you happy, then buy it. I really can't say a reason. Like the logic part, but in terms of driving and the experience, it lives up to the experience that you would expect it to have. Our little symbol of protest Kaniskas badged truck should drive and look and sound exactly like this one does.
Okay.
That's it. There's my summary of that one.
I have one waiting for me at Detroit Metro Airport when I arrive
do
back
you?
in 27-ish hours, I think.
Oh my goodness.
So we'll see.
It'll wake you up when you get to the
know.
airport all jet lagged and you put you'll be awake.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of the reason it sounds like that, they previously, before they discontinued the Hemi, they had a GT exhaust option that you could get with the Hemi. When they brought back the Hemi, they decided to make that standard.
As they should.
To really emphasize, the only reason that people wanted this was because of the way it sounds.
It sounds great. You guys, it sounds great. It sounds great. I love it.
Hey, Robbie, I think she likes it.
I love this truck. This was fun.
What do you love?
I loved
You gonna
it.
take one in trade for your Wagoneer S?
Oh my God. So a listener actually emailed me. I should mention them. He said asking about the Wagoneer S and that they never heard a resolution to it. And I haven't talked about it a lot, but I'll give you a quick update because so the resolution is there's still no resolution. It's been in the dealership now. This particular stint, it is about to start week 5 that it has been sitting there. And so there will be a resolution to this, guys. I'm not ignoring it or not trying to tell you what's going on. I'm just waiting until there is something to say about what's going on. So that's my update. Deep sigh. I love how that thing looks. I'm sad.
Oh, well.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Yeah.
Robbie,
Yo.
what have you been driving?
So I went out to the desert, to the dunes.
Which desert?
I don't know, Mojave Desert, outside of Las Vegas, outside of San Bernardino. The California desert. It's in California, even though they flew us to Las Vegas. It's a 2-hour drive into California to drive these. Anyway, I went out there to drive a car it's the Dumont Dunes is what it's called, and it's an OHV area. You can take your off-roader. Most people are there with their side-by-sides and maybe some motorcycles or some quads. And when I got there, people were there. It's the middle of the week, but these dunes are huge. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna ride? You probably think, what was I gonna drive there? What am I gonna drive out in the middle of the Dumont Dunes? Well, I drove the 2027 Mercedes-Benz GLC.
Well, that seems like an
Exactly
obvious
like you'd
choice to drive in the
expect.
Dumont
The
Dunes.
electric
Yeah.
GLC, the GLC 400 4MATIC with EQ technology. It's got an EQ so you can get your levels correct in your music. That's not what it is.
Well, you definitely want to make sure you have your car equalized,
You gotta have it
especially if you're
equalized,
going to go out in the dunes.
especially if you're gonna have to go up into the dunes. So, yeah, it was very interesting because I expected them, "Oh, we're gonna drive on some, like, pretty, chill rolling hills." No, they had us go up on, like, the sides of things. So, the really difficult parts, they had, drivers doing that because they didn't want us rolling the cars, I'm assuming. Um, and so I was looking at the pitch, and it was, like, 25%, which doesn't seem like a lot until you're in a car.
That's a lot, actually,
Yeah.
That's a
yeah.
lot.
And then you're looking out the side window and
Yeah,
looking
you're looking
straight
at the
You're
down.
side
leaning
of it.
on one side,
Everyone
yeah.
lean into the mountain. Everyone lean into the mountain. Uh, and it did fine. And then they gave us the keys, and we did some a little less extreme, but still in the dunes. And it was very impressive. And this is part of EV powertrains. It's for it's an all-wheel drive vehicle. Each wheel is controlled um, based on like millisecond decisions. Like, oh, this wheel's spinning. Oh, this wheel's spinning. No, this wheel's spinning. Oh, this one's spinning. This one's spinning. This one. And so when you talk about torque vectoring, a lot of a lot of gas powered vehicles, when they do torque vectoring, what they do is they apply the brake. And so there is a very hilarious video of a Bronco in the dunes on Car and Driver, I believe, where you can see the rear brake is just red hot. It's just,
Oh, wow.
yeah, from far away because because it's constantly applying the brakes. So now you don't have brakes. So I'm assuming they got some pretty nasty brake fade on that. With the EV, with the GLC, you don't have that. And what was interesting is we're down to about this, sort of giant, hill that we're going up and down on. And these folks show up in their side by sides and their quads. And the guy's like, what is happening? They were just flabbergasted because when I got there, there was a GM SUV that had decided to get close to the dunes and it immediately got stuck. And Mercedes had to go and tow them out.
That's awesome.
With a GLC?
With the GLC. Yeah. So, yeah, no, it was incredibly impressive of what we could do with this vehicle. Typically my first drive, or really any first drive, is I'm going to get into this vehicle and we're going to, here's the route. We drive along the route. We have a driver partner with us. Halfway through the route, we swap. We drive some more. We talk about all the things we hate in the world. We drive. We get back, right? You're making notes. You're like, okay, well, they drove like this and, it handles like this, blah, blah. This was completely out of left field I'm still writing this because it is not a typical first drive program. It is completely bonkers and weird and really, really fun. And yeah, let me tell you just the regular old bits about the important bits about the GLC. The electric version is actually a little bit longer than the gas version, so you get a little bit more space. They don't have a price yet.
Mm.
It has a 94. Where is that number? 94 kilowatt hour usable battery pack. And it has 483 horsepower, 596 pound-feet of torque. This is on Mercedes' new electrical architecture, which means no more 400 volt Mercedes-Benz, 800 volt, like a proper EV. It charges it up to 330 kilowatts. So, huzzah. So that's nice. AC charging up to 94 kilowatts. So it feels like, Mercedes, everyone was coming out with 400 and, Kia and Hyundai came out with 800. And so it sort of made the luxury brands, Mercedes, BMW, look sort of old. It felt like they were already laggards, yes. They were falling behind already when the Koreans were like, oh, here you go. Here's an 800, kilowatt hour vehicle. So going 800 volt vehicle. So going 800 volt is extremely. It's a little late. If you're a luxury brand, I think they were sort of waiting and hoping, while, I don't think they expected Hyundai and Kia to just be like, boom, 800, forget the. So I'm very happy. It looks nicer than the other EQs, the EQS, that looked a little bulbous, didn't have a rear seat. That these had nice seating. It was comfortable. Again, I drove it on dunes, so there's really I don't have a lot of like frame of
That's
reference.
hard.
I'm like, what's it like driving on the road? I can tell you what it's like
Who
when you put it in
knows?
sand mode and go and do and drift it around corners again and again. And what you don't think about when you're riding on dunes is that as you're drifting, you're putting huge giant whoop-de-doos into the road, and then when you have to drive over those to do so. It's like dun, 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 dun. It was fine. Their estimated 0 to 60 time right now for this vehicle is 4.4 seconds, which is fine. I guess it's probably more than it needs to be. And what else do we need to know? I think that's kind of it, to be honest. Yeah, it's comfortable. It's got the new MBOS, sorry, the new Mercedes-Benz OS, which seems nice. Mercedes has been working on their next generation of EV. It looks like they've delivered on, what they're working on. Again, I was driving it on dunes. We had like about 20 to 30 minutes of actual drive time with these vehicles, but on dunes. So I did get stuck for a second because I was talking to them and I wasn't thinking about my momentum.
Mm-mm.
And they're like, "Oh, wait, momentum." I'm like, "Oh no!" And then it kind of stopped, and then I was able to get it out because that's I don't know. I've been doing a lot of off-road driving when I was a kid, but yeah, no, I'm a big fan of it on dunes. We don't
So
have
for those of you who are just
Yeah.
driving on dunes, go for it.
Yeah, and it doesn't arrive into dealerships until late 2026. So we're like a year out from this vehicle. And they're like, "Hey, we're gonna lower." Also when you're driving on sand and stuff, you got to lower the air pressure in your vehicle. So yeah, they definitely lowered the air pressure in the tires for this. They didn't go, because then we would
So
just like,
were you running on regular street tires or were they
yes,
all-terrain tires?
we
Oh my
we were
gosh.
running regular street tires. They were just like. No, they were just. I was like looking. I'm like, oh, these are just the regular tires that come with this car. Cool. Yeah, no, it was. Everything about it was like this shouldn't work at all. Like not at all.
So
Nothing.
so this is not a four-motor vehicle, right?
Nope. It's
It's
two
two
motors.
two
One in the
motors. So
front, one in the back.
yeah, so they can't use the electric motors to do the torque vectoring, which means they must be using the brakes to do the torque
They
vectoring. So
told me they
why
weren't
wouldn't
using
this
the
have the
brakes.
same
They
why
weren't
wouldn't this
using.
have the same, issue of cooking the
They
brakes,
told me that
if you
wasn't using the brakes.
okay. Do they have like clutches in the differential to
Okay.
I'm
do the torque
assuming
vectoring?
it was very.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, they're like, we're not using brakes for torque vectoring. I'm like, wow. They're like, yeah. And then I told them the story about the.
Yeah.
It's got a 2-speed transmission, which is interesting. Like the Taycan. If you remember,
Mhm.
the Taycan had its 2-speed transmission. So yeah, so I think they're. I think this vehicle was overshadowed by the Neue class at IAA. But driving it, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what you're doing over here. So yeah, it'll be once it'll be a lot. I'll have a more rounded idea of this vehicle once I'm able to drive it on the road. But if you live anywhere with like inclement weather, or you live on the Arrakis, and you have to like.
Arrakis.
You have to listen. I have made sure that I have not made any Dune references in my article. I am.
Why?
You
You should make a
no,
Dune
like
reference in the
sandworms,
article.
Arrakis.
Yeah,
No,
I feel.
I'm
You
not.
know what?
That's
I
what the
think you should.
podcast is
Hey,
for.
Robbie's trying to be creative. He doesn't want to do the obvious thing.
Yeah,
The
it's the
obvious
obvious thing is lazy.
Well, what about
Yeah.
Tatooine? Could you work that in there?
Tatooine.
That's less obvious.
No,
It's not
if
called
you've been
Dune
watching Star
Desert
Wars,
Planet.
that's Tatooine is also lazy.
He's very
Oh,
lazy. Yeah,
man.
you gotta really. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, fine.
Womp womp.
Fine, whatever.
That's what the podcast is for, so I can
That's
make
what
a
podcast
rackus
is for.
jokes.
Okay, so here in Tokyo this week, they also had both the iX3 on display, and Mercedes had the new GLC on display. And I think there's one very important element that you're overlooking that you have not mentioned about the Mercedes versus the iX3.
Dun dun dun. And
Vents.
Oh yeah, I
Vents.
can just move the vents.
You can't do that on an iX3.
Just
The
regular old
iX3 has
vents.
digital vents.
Well, I guess
Mercedes-
Mercedes wins.
But Mercedes wins by default.
Mercedes wins. I can drive around, the Mad Max wastelands, and I can adjust the AC so it's right in the face.
It's funny how much the digital vents literally, like it drives me bonkers enough when I'm in a car. It is literally a deal breaker for me.
I'm
Like,
touching the
you-
vents constantly in my car.
People
Like,
say that I'm like,
nonstop.
you don't touch the vents that much. And I think, am I the weirdo? I move mine constantly
No,
depending on
you are
how the
not.
sun is hitting my face. Like the sun's in your face, I want the vent in my face.
Yep.
Suddenly the sun goes behind a cloud. I don't want the AC vent in my face. And
I am more aware of how often I use the vents because of the digital vent situation.
because you go to reach for it and you're like, crud.
I'm
So
just
what
angry.
you're saying is this was really a plot by designers to make us appreciate what we had, because
Yeah.
we were getting complacent about
Yep.
vents.
Yeah,
And so now we appreciate vents again.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
We
I appreciate vents.
vents.
It's like on Arrakis when all the water went away, and now you have to appreciate with the.
Too well done,
Appreciate the
Robbie.
water.
Well
Yeah.
done, Robbie, bringing that back again. Golf
There
clap
you
for
go.
you. There you
You're
go.
welcome.
Bringing it full
You're
circle.
welcome. You're welcome. I haven't read that book in a long time. Oh, the movies are out. I forgot. I'm like, I haven't read that book in a long time. Well, oh yeah, the movies.
I never did manage to read that book. I tried multiple times, and I don't think I ever got past about page 20.
Oh,
I read the first
I
one.
found
I've only
it
read the first one.
unreadable.
Oh,
I just read the
liked
first
it.
one, but
I
it took
really
me a
enjoyed
lot
it.
of tries. Like I started it and didn't finish and started and didn't finish. I'm like, no, dang it. I should read this entire thing. And I did, but I'm not great story, but I'm not a fan of his writing style. I know he's like a big deal.
That's
but
that's the issue. It's his writing style that I could
Oh.
not deal with.
Well, you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it anymore. He's dead. So
well, that's
Well,
a thought.
yeah, but-
Okay.
Well, his son kept writing additional books after he died, though, right?
I
did he
never read
really?
anything past Dune.
Oh yeah.
My mom,
the
my
one
mom
Dune?
had all of them. My mom had all the
Wow.
Dunes. I guess until the son started writing. I don't know what happened after that. But yeah, she had them all. Got to do them all.
There you go.
Doing it and doing it and doing it well.
All right.
In the comments, tell us which Dune you like, the David Lynch or the new one.
It's become a Dune discussion. Oh,
Yeah.
what was it we were
Yeah.
talking about? Did you talk about
It
it
was a
without
car,
me?
the
No.
GLC.
My brain just went to a different thing. The guy who we were talking about him going to the
Bill?
how long? Bill, did you finish that conversation last
We-
week or whatever
we
week
we
without
did.
me?
Bill is just uses logic to do this. Whereas I'm just like, I'm gonna go on a trip. I better drink like all the liquids I can find in my house, and then
I love
stop
that
at
he sent us.
7-Eleven.
I just have to say because I know you guys talking about. I love that he sent us like a lengthy email, like addressing the
Yeah.
situation. So
The
it's my
Bill
turn to say, "Good
challenge.
job, Bill." I appreciate that. So okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Side.
I still
Side note
believe in the
there.
Bill challenge where we make people drink a 32-ounce drink and then then see how long they can drive.
A highly caffeinated 32-ounce drink.
Yeah,
like
they could-
either like an espresso. It has to be coffee you're
Or
drinking,
just a 32-ounce Mountain Dew.
Yeah, yeah.
Mountain Dew would
You
work.
can still find
Sure.
some Jolt Cola or something.
Jolt.
Do they still
Cola,
make
oh my
Jolt
God.
Cola?
I don't think they do. I
they
think
took
it's
it off.
illegal. Do they still make Jolt? I
No,
don't
I
know.
think it's okay. But
Or maybe
I think it's
32 ounces of Red Bull.
Oof,
Oh my gosh.
that's too much.
Everyone's gonna have a heart attack. I don't want to do that.
My brain's gonna explode.
We're
I
gonna
think-
kill all
please,
our listeners.
Do not drink 32 ounces of Red Bull.
No, that's an
Just
excessive amount of-
joking.
As someone who drinks Red Bull every day, don't do that. That's an excessive amount of Red Bull.
They do still make Jolt Cola. It's been relaunched
Oh.
as a modern energy drink. Became
well,
available
It was the
this
original
year.
energy drink.
It became available this year.
Oh, finally.
Jolt
Oh,
Cola,
maybe
yeah.
they'll bring back Four Loko too while they're at it.
I mean, just saying, if you want your Jolt Cola, it's out there apparently.
You ready to party? Four Locos here for you. Oh,
All right.
good times,
Anything
everybody.
else
Good
on
times.
your 25 minutes with the GLC?
It was comfortable. The new steering wheel is nice. It's got a selfie and a video camera. I didn't try that out because I was too busy cruising in circles. Woo! Sports
And,
CarPlay and
and,
Apple Auto.
any idea how much it's going to cost?
Nope, it's a TBA. So who knows?
It's a TBA. TBA.
All right.
TBA. TBA. When's it gonna
All
happen?
right.
TBA.
Quick, Sam, move on.
I-
He's singing.
Time. It's always vanishing. The commute, the errands, the work functions, the meetings, selling your car. Unless you sell your car with Carvana. Get a real offer in minutes. Get it picked up from your door. Get paid on the spot. So fast, you'll wonder what the catch is. There isn't one. We just respect you and your time. Oh, you're still here? Move along now. Enjoy your day. Sell your car today.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media. I had the 2026 Kia Sportage X-Pro Prestige all-wheel drive.
Oh my god!
Sportage got a mid-cycle refresh this year, which as is the trend these days, had to make it look a little more
truck-like.
truck-like.
At the times.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wore an onion on my belt, as with the style at the time.
So they had to make it look a little more truck-like than before. So more upright, bigger, more upright grille. A little more squared off in the front, because you have to be able to go up against drivers of Super Duties and Silverado HDs and Ram HDs in your Sportage. The refresh is fine. I actually thought it better before. But it is what it is. It's a matter of style. And it's fine. This is
clearly it's not.
It's
Wow, clearly it's not.
He's like,
it's not my favorite.
It's like someone's gonna.
It's not my favorite Kia right now.
Someone's gonna take you to a nice steakhouse, and instead they took you to Sizzler. That's what it feels like right now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's fine. It was,
so this is in the same size class. I mean, the upper compact crossover class is the highest volume segment in the U.S. market now, and has been for the last several years. So we always hear about full size trucks being the biggest selling nameplates. The F series being the biggest selling nameplates, and that's true up to a point, in that they are, those individual models sell in huge numbers, but there's only 4 entries in that segment. In the compact crossover segment, there's about 300 different vehicles that you can choose from, just in the U.S. alone. Or at least it seems that way. And the top seller talked about last week, the Toyota RAV4 sold 475,000 units last year, which is more than the F-150. So Kia's entry in this segment is the Sportage, goes up against the RAV4, the Honda CR-V, the Nissan Rogue, and many others. And it's a good vehicle. The last several generations of the Sportage have all been good good options to go with. The was it last year, I think, or the year before, they added the X Pro trim level. So, again, as is the style, Kia had to add an off-roady variant. So this
Mhm.
is their
Required.
answer to the likes of the what is it, the RAV4 Woodland, or the Forester, what the hell was one? Oh, Wilderness, the Forester Wilderness,
What the hell
that you
is
just
That I
drove.
just had.
Yeah, and as is the case with pretty much all of these, with the exception of the Forester Wilderness, it's really more about the visuals than it is about real world actual off road functionality. So you get some off roady looking tires. It's got some all terrain tires, but it doesn't really have any of what you would actually want in a true off roader. Things like, well, ground clearance or skid plates, things like that, to give you true off-road capabilities. So, in this case here, see how much was the ground clearance? I think the ground clearance on this one is 8.3 inches, which is actually not bad. It's better than a lot of them. It's right in the ballpark with RAV4 and CRV. Clearly, not up to snuff against the Forester. But this is, the X Pro is for people who want to look like they kind of might someday go off road without ever actually going off road. So you're going to have an inch less ground clearance in those hardcore winter weather conditions. When you got 9-10 inches of snow, or you've had 6 inches of snow. And you have cleared your driveway, and then 2 hours later, the plows come through your neighborhood, and they create a 12-inch berm at the end of your driveway. And this is a berm made up of not just the dry powdery snow that you cleared with your shovel or your snowblower, but because it's a snowplow that plowed it there, now it's hard packed, compressed, icy, slushy berm. That now you've got to go out there with typical snowblower is not going to be able to cut through that. You've got to go out there with a hardcore shovel, maybe a pickaxe, break it up and shovel it out of the way so you can get out of your driveway. And with 8.3 inches of ground clearance, you're probably not even going to be able to just plow right through it, because if you try to do that hard packed icy snow berm is just going to shatter the plastic front fascia, because you don't have metal on the front there. Just having said all that, it's a good vehicle. This is the kind of vehicle the majority of Americans are driving today. So it's a nice roomy 5-passenger vehicle with a decent amount of cargo space. It is it comes with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine, an 8-speed automatic transmission, which is got an adequate amount of power. It's 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque, which is fine. It's exactly as much as most people ever really need. But after I hop out of our family Kia EV6 with dual motors and 320 horsepower and jump into this, all of a sudden it feels kind of slow.
I mean, that's
'cause it
every
doesn't have
gas.
that.
That's most gas cars after you jump out of
Yes,
an EV,
no,
to
that's
be honest.
that is absolutely true. Once
Yeah.
you go from an EV to an internal combustion vehicle, it's like, oh man, where did all that responsiveness go? But
Mhm.
if you're driving this on a daily basis, you're going to be fine.
You're
You're not going
fine.
to have any complaints about this. It's rated at 23 miles per gallon city, 26 highway, and 24 combined. I got about 25 during my time driving it. And let's see, the only options I had, the base price of the X Pro Prestige is 39,590. Mine had the wolf gray paint with the black roof. Um, the cargo mats, the carpeted floor mats, and a cargo cover. And the grand total came to $40,660. Guesses on the inland freight and handling, as Kia labels it on their Monroney?
1,200.
Inland freight, 1,200. I'll go 13.
Nicole gets it. It's $1,395.
Man,
Oh.
I'm losing all over the place today.
Yeah.
I need the
so-
clarity of just waking up. That's the problem. We're recording right now. It's like 2 PM for me, so I'm like
Right,
awake.
you're completely off kilter.
Yeah, I'm off kilter.
Yeah. One besides the exterior design changes, the other thing they changed with the mid-cycle refresh is they went to the same kind of dual 12.3-inch panoramic display that Kia has on a lot of their vehicles now. So it looks like one big sheet of black glass when it's off that's sitting on top of your dashboard. When you fire it up, you've got two 12.3-inch displays in there. It does have an updated version of the Kia Hyundai infotainment system, so the interface has been updated a little bit. It's still pretty easy to use. It works well. It's responsive enough. It didn't have any issues with connectivity or no crashing, no lagging. It just works. It's pretty simple. It's got wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There's a wireless charging pad at the front of the console. So it's got all the stuff that you expect, all the amenities you expect in a modern vehicle. And it works. It works well. It's a good vehicle. You've got a lot of options in this segment, and most of them work largely the same. There's for the most part, there's not huge differences among these in terms of performance, and it basically comes down to which one do you like the looks of the best. And if you like the looks of the Sportage or Sportage, if you want to be fancy, then this is one to put on your shopping list. If you want something that looks a little less angular, chiseled than the new RAV4, this is one that you might want to consider. Or if you want a little bit different look, there's the Hyundai Tucson, which is it's basically the same vehicle with a different look, but same powertrain. And I think you can also get this with a hybrid. You can get I don't know if you can get the X-Pro as a hybrid, but you can get the Sportage with a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid option as well.
Sportage.
So
I like that
All right.
Sportage.
yeah. So that is the 2026 Kia Sportage X-Pro Prestige all-wheel drive. All right, let's talk about what happened this week. Let's see. We already mentioned the destination charges, and that everyone else is noticing this. Automotive News. We'll have a link in the show notes if you want to check it out. They wrote about what we've been
Wait, they
talking
didn't link to
about
us.
for ages. No,
They
they
don't-
didn't. That's true. You know what? I'm not going to link to them because they didn't link to us. They didn't reference
Take
the fact that
that.
we've been talking about this for ages. So
No,
take
it's-
that, Automotive News.
Take that. Yeah, this is gonna cripple them. It's gonna cripple their
Automotive News
business.
is done. Nobody's
done now.
ever going to read Automotive News again.
No.
All right. So back somewhere in the past, when Tesla added the full self-driving mode on top of their enhanced autopilot variations on their cars, at one point they had they've got different modes that you can choose from in terms of the aggressiveness of the system, and Elon being Elon had to include a Mad Max mode in there. And it went away for a while, but it came back recently. They in a recent software update, they added the Mad Max mode back in there, which makes the FSD drive more aggressively, including doing things like ignoring speed limits, which, to be honest, I'm not sure that even without Mad Max mode that it ever did a great job of following speed limits anyway. But it does a bunch of things. And so the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has decided to investigate the Mad Max mode on Tesla FSD.
Mm.
Yeah, if you have a Tesla, fine. If you're gonna use FSD, remember, despite the name, not really fully self-driving, or it's certainly not unsupervised. Yeah, you have to keep your eyes on the road, be ready to take control,
You're still in
because
charge.
yes, you are
Period.
very much in charge. Um, you know, Please, follow the rules of the road. Be safe out there. Because we know that Tesla's robo taxis running the same software. Not so much. They already reported 3 crashes to NHTSA in Austin. From just their very small fleet of vehicles, and they have safety observers in there with a kill switch that are supposed to be ready to take control, or to shut off the system at any moment. And we have no idea how many times they have disengaged FSD since they launched their supposed robo-taxi service back in June. So
Mhm.
be careful out there if you're driving. If you're in a Tesla, and if you're not in a Tesla but you see one near you, keep your eyes open. Make sure it doesn't swerve into you. Especially, if you're driving a police vehicle, make sure it doesn't run into you.
They
Um,
love they're like magnets to Tesla. Those
oh, I know.
emergency vehicles. I don't know what the deal. I've had a few Teslas sort of like riding the lane, like riding the edge of the
Like on the
lane
edge of the lane.
recently. Yeah, I'm like, what is this person doing? I don't know if it's the person driving. I didn't want to die, so I didn't like, well, oh, let me look over here and do, let me investigate while I'm driving. But yeah, I've had a couple Teslas like I'm like, what is happening? Why is this person driving like this? Oh, maybe. That's anecdotal evidence, everyone. That doesn't make it
Mhm.
that's not real. That's just me driving around wondering what's wrong with people. What's your problem?
All right. Let's talk about the Japan Mobility Show. Unlike auto
Wait,
shows in
wait,
America.
wait, wait. Did,
What?
did you go to Japan Nobility Show, Nicole?
No, I did
I,
not.
I didn't go. Who went?
I didn't go. Who went?
Sam.
Who's there? Is
I
Sam there
was
now?
I was here. I went.
Lucky. I'm so
Sam,
jealous.
it's Sam.
Lucky.
I know he is lucky.
All right.
Ate
Please
lots of
carry
good
on.
Japanese food this week.
Oh.
Uh, yeah, and so this is the show formerly known as the Tokyo Motor Show. Takes place every other year, odd numbered years. So I was here in 2023, back here again this year. Thanks to Honda, they brought a whole bunch of us over here for the show, and then to go to meet with their CEO, Mibe-san, a couple days ago, and then also to go to Tochigi to drive some stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. We'll talk about that next week. But there was, again, unlike most North American shows, there was participation from all the major Japanese automakers here, as well as booths from Mercedes-Benz, from BMW, from BYD. They were here. There was trucks, and there was buses, and and motorcycles. Lots of motorcycles. One thing that was interesting to see: hydrogen-powered motorcycles. Kawasaki had this.
Hydrogen. A hydrogen. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, hydrogen motorcycle. That's freaky.
Yeah.
Mm.
Kawasaki had this wild-looking hydrogen motorcycle. It's internal combustion engine, so it's not a fuel cell, but running on hydrogen. Suzuki, Yamaha also had a hydrogen motorcycle. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. But lots of concept vehicles here, and let's start with Honda. We've seen the Honda Zero Series, as well as the Acura RSX that are coming. And those are Honda's, Honda, has been selling some EVs built by GM for the last year and a half, 2 years. And one of those, the Acura ZDX, has already been discontinued because Honda has been developing their own new EV platform. We saw the prototypes of those at CES last January, the Honda Zero SUV and the Honda Zero Saloon. And those cars were here. Those vehicles were on display here in Tokyo. But they showed another one called the Honda Zero Alpha. And this one looks very much like the Honda Zero SUV that we're going to get in the US next year. But it's a completely different car. It's still an EV, but it's not destined for the US market. It is targeted at Japan and India. And in fact, it's going to be produced in India in 2027. So it's even though it looks a lot like the Honda Zero SUV, it's a little bit smaller, not a lot smaller. It's kind of like the Zero SUV is about the size of a CRV, and the Zero Alpha is closer to the size of an HRV, or at least the U.S. market HRV.
all right.
Maybe a little bit bigger than the HRV. But a lot of the most interesting technologies that are going to be in the North American EVs, things like their new zonal electrical architecture, their ASIMO OS software platform, that's not going to be on this car because they're targeting the Indian market. So they're cost reducing it, going to have different batteries. They're still finalizing some stuff with the batteries. So we don't really have any specifications on this. We don't have a lot of detail. But we did learn, it's going to have more ground clearance, different suspension setup to deal with Indian roads, compared to the one for North America. But hopefully what they do is they take some of the things that they learned from doing this one and bring some more affordable EVs to North America, because the Zero SUV and the Zero Saloon probably going to be a little more high end. I think the Zero SUV is probably going to cost similar to the Prologue, so in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. What do you think of the Zero Alpha?
Listen, I think I still think we need less expensive EVs on the road, period, in the United States. I know why. If you're a company and you're like, oh, I would like to bring especially if you're not an American company, you're like, I would like to bring an inexpensive EV to the US. It's kind of a bad time. Inexpensive vehicles have a slimmer profit margin than, say, a luxury vehicle. So you're not going to make much money. You're going to have to sell a lot of these. Like, oh, but now we've added tariffs on there. And, the tariffs are going to change from week to week, depending on whatever the hell's on television, whatever's. So as an
Social.
as an automaker, like I get it when Kia's like, yeah, we're not bringing that EV over here, the EV over here. I get it when you're like, well, why would I bring the Zero Alpha over to the United States when we're again, these high volume but inexpensive vehicles don't have the profit margin a luxury vehicle do. And if you're like, well, they're doing everything to get like at least half the country not to want to buy an EV for whatever. I'm still not 100% sure of the reason. And then we're going to throw just like crazy tariff chaos and everything. As a company, you're like, well, why would I do this? Here's some more CRVs made of gas. There you go. Just
You're right. It's given the complications of bringing a car over here and what they have over here and what sells over here. It's really cool, and I'd love to see some of these things, but you can understand why it doesn't make sense.
yeah. It's again
And
just move to Japan.
yeah. And I certainly wouldn't advocate, for Honda to bring the Zero Alpha, from India to the US.
It's about
or
homologation
even to
issues around that.
or even to bring, that particular, or even to build that vehicle in the
Excuse me.
US, because it looks so much like the Zero SUV, and it's not that much smaller, that if you put this into a Honda showroom next to the Zero SUV, people are going to look in and say, okay, why is this one $15,000 or $20,000 less than this one? Explain to me why I should buy the expensive one versus this one.
Yeah.
And that's not what I advocated for when I spoke to Honda people this week. But rather, take what you're doing, in terms of cost reduction, and do a different vehicle, build it in the U.S., with some of the lower cost systems, and have a more affordable EV based on the same technologies you're putting into the Zero Alpha, but just, give it a different look,
Not
whether
every
it's
EV needs
car.
not every EV needs to have like mid to luxury, bells and whistles in it. That's the thing that
It's
we
weird what they did with that. You're right, Robbie. Like the
like. I
way
don't.
they
I
went
buy a
that way
Honda
with a lot of
Civic, I buy a
EVs.
Honda Fit. I'm not expecting all these
Yeah.
crazy features in there. I shouldn't expect all those
Mhm.
crazy features in there if there's an inexpensive EV. I should expect like, I get in, it's got like, 12-inch screen or, a tiny screen that I can, maybe the navigation works, maybe it doesn't. I just plug my phone into it.
Maybe
That's it. I
not.
drive around, I do the thing. It doesn't have, I don't have lane keeping assist. I don't have to worry, maybe I have adaptive cruise control, but that's about it. Like I don't need you like that's like just keep cramming this. This is the thing when the Slate CEO is like they just keep throwing all this technology and then making you pay for it where you don't use the technology. Like she is very much on point about that. Like they're just here's a bunch of technology. So now this car costs $10,000 more than it would if it didn't have all this stuff in it. Why? Why am I paying all this money for all this stuff? I don't need the stuff. I don't use the stuff. People don't use the
Yeah.
stuff. They don't want the stuff. Give us less stuff is what I want.
Less stuff, please.
Less stuff so I can
Reduce the
save
amount
money
of
so I can buy
stuff.
more tacos.
You-
That's
You're
Mhm.
sounding positively un-American there, Robbie.
I know. We don't
mean,
need all the
Being,
stuff.
being American is all about having more stuff, not less stuff.
But you can
More
have
stuff.
more stuff that's just not the car stuff. You can go out and buy stuff with the money you save from not getting the stuff in the car.
No, but
So you're
you want the
getting
car
more
stuff and the
things.
other stuff. You
Yeah.
want both stuff.
So you get
Robbie,
the
all
car
the
Should
and
have
then a
all
bunch
the
of stuff,
stuff.
and then
Yeah.
all the stuff
Mhm.
inside.
And we are, I believe, supposed to have all the stuff.
That's
all
true.
of it.
We are
All the stuff.
we're the
Mhm.
best.
Yeah.
We're the best at having all the stuff. Even though, we're also, Anyway, that's
Even
my
when we can't afford it.
that's the problem. That's my rant. Is like I don't need all and this is why I'm so drawn to the Slate because it doesn't have any of the stuff. All the stuff's gone. You just want an EV. It's essentially just a body, a motor, a battery, some wheels, and a steering wheel. Go away. Take it. Here. You want to take parts off it? Yeah, whatever. You want to buy some parts put on? Yeah, just here. You want a screen? You got a phone. Stop whining. Get out of here. Go to the store. Pick up some mulch.
Go to the store, pick up some mulch.
Or some topsoil, if you don't need mulch yet,
Topsoil.
you need some topsoil. Get a few bags of topsoil, get a vegetable garden going. Yeah. All right. So, the other thing that Honda highlighted is the Super One, which is another car that we are not ever going to see in the U.S., at least not for 25 years until, once they're 25 years old. So I'll be, 85, when we can import this thing. But, I think it might just be perfect, when I'm 85. But I'll talk more about the Super One next week. Let's see, Toyota. Toyota had the entire South Hall of Tokyo Big Sight, which is the convention center where they do the show. And they had 4 booths within this, for 4 different brands. They had, they basically the first hour of the media day was Toyota Group, with 4 press conferences in a row, starting with Toyota, and then going to Daihatsu, which you used to be able to get in the U.S., but not anymore, and then Lexus, and finally Century. So let's start with Toyota. The big thing from Toyota was this new Corolla concept. Have you looked at this thing?
I woke up, started working, looked on the old internet, saw the new Corolla, and I was like, well, shoot, I've got to buy a new Corolla now, I guess.
It does look good, right? It's kind of cool looking.
It is slick. It's
But
an
it's a
interesting
concept. How
design.
close is it going to look? See, every time they do a concept, I want to know how close is the concept to reality? Is it like not at all? Or is it like, yeah, guys, we're just going to make a few
It's
tweaks?
hard. It's hard to tell. Toyota sometimes they do stuff that is, that translates to production, and sometimes they don't, which we'll talk more about in a minute. Um, I think the general shape of this, and the design direction that we see in, this Corolla, it's a compact four-door sedan. Um, I think that this is the general design direction. I think the production version is gonna be toned down a fair
Yeah.
bit, but I think that this is the overall direction that they're taking with it. So it's pretty sleek. It's got a very low hood in the front. Um, I think one of the interesting details to me is, the belt line, which, really sweeps down in the front. So the front doors, the front edge of the belt line is down quite low, which is actually great for visibility. It really helps, when you're looking out to the corners. And I think we'll see a lot of this in the next generation Corolla, which is we'll probably see this, production version sometime later next year, I'm guessing, for 2027. Um, yeah, the what we probably won't see is the interior of this car.
The interior is wild.
The interior is always like a thing that's never
I
going to
know.
happen. It's
Yeah.
always like, here's a seat that, like, 3 people are comfortable in, and there's nothing else in here, and the steering wheel's made out of corn or something. And
The steering wheel's made out of corn.
So, one of the key elements of the interior is this center pedestal. So instead of a traditional console, you've got this pedestal that's got like a platform that's angled, down towards the back, and the shift selector, the transmission selector, instead of a knob or like a rocker or something like that, or a lever, is a clear plastic thing that is shaped just like the car itself.
And it
So it's like
glows.
when you grab it to put it in drive, you're grabbing a miniature version of the car that you're sitting in.
Which
So you're like a
means
child playing with Hot Wheels.
our
Yes.
dream come true is
Yeah,
Hot
exactly.
Wheels that works.
I
Yeah.
support Hot Wheels shaped gear selecters.
I like
Yeah.
this. I think it's silly, but it's fun.
But the problem is that
Yeah,
a child is going to get in the car and shove it in reverse.
Kids can be like, Hot Wheels. And there
Well,
you go.
they'll probably be able to shove it in neutral. Probably not in reverse, but you'll be driving all of a sudden. Wait, what's going on?
It's exactly the kind of thing you want to do in a concept, and it's exactly what
Yeah.
that will never make it to production.
No.
But
No.
I wish it would. It would be fun.
That would be nice,
Toyota
but
didn't talk at all about what might power this thing, except to say, well, they didn't talk about what's powering this particular concept, which means it probably is not powered by anything. It probably because we certainly didn't see it drive onto the stage or anything. It was just there, and they pulled the silk off of it. But what they did say when I talked to folks from Toyota was that the Corolla is going to follow Toyota's multi-pathway approach, with different powertrain options, which means that most likely they'll do what they've done with RAV4. It'll be a standard hybrid, maybe a plug-in hybrid option, and there will be an electric option as well.
it looks really good. It really does look good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I hope they preserve a lot of this for the production model, at least the exterior.
The
I would love to see
all
the
right.
interior stay, but it's not gonna. I would love that.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
No, definitely not. Okay, they move over to Lexus. So recently, Lexus announced an LS final edition. So the current generation LS, which was the LS was back when they launched Lexus in 1989. The first car they launched was the LS 400, the sedan, which at the time that one looked a lot like a Mercedes-Benz S-Class of the era. And the LS has evolved over time, but it's always been a four-door sedan. Well, going forward, that will no longer be the case, it appears. So they had two different concepts, both badged as LS. One was called the LS Coupe, and the other one was just Lexus LS Concept, which was this wild luxury van.
What even is this?
These look like vans from the movie Dune.
Oh,
Both of these look perfect. Look at them. These are from Dune.
so that's our theme.
That's our
Dune.
team, Dune. Arrakis.
Just our planet.
Sorry, everyone.
So, I mean, we've talked a bit about, these luxury vans. We talked about Faraday X. Remember, earlier this year they launched or they announced their luxury
Sorry.
van. Yeah. And these kinds of vans are actually quite popular in Asia, particularly here in Japan, in Korea, and especially in China. So here in Japan, Toyota has the Alphard, and then they have the Lexus LM. So these are often used as chauffeur-driven vehicles. So they're very luxurious inside, very roomy. And this is kind of taking that idea to the next level. But it has 6 wheels. It's got 2 very
does it?
large wheels in the front.
I didn't
And
even catch the wheels. I was like,
Oh,
looked
you didn't
so
see the little
bizarre.
tiny.
I
the double
literally
tiny.
was so taken by the design. I missed the fact that it has 6 wheels. That's how weird it is.
You need all that traction for the
Oh my
sand.
God.
Look, and if you look at the thing, they don't have any tread, just like a sand.
What is this?
buggy.
This
well, I
is
think these
Bizarro
renders
land.
here don't really show a tread, but
Yeah,
the
because sand.
physical model that was on the stage did
What
have
did you
did have
think
some
of
tread.
the physical model
Oh.
that was on the stage?
Well, first, as I was looking at this thing, I'm walking around and looking at it from different angles. I would not call this a pretty, beautiful vehicle. The outgoing LS sedan, I think, is a very attractive car. I think it's a really good-looking large sedan. I would not say that about this thing. It's very angular. But as I was looking at the wheels, I realized why they did that. And I talked to one of the designers and got confirmation that so the reason why it's got the 4 wheels in the back is the 4 wheels. This is not like some of those 6x6 Mercedes G wagons
Ugh.
you see out there. Where you've
We
got
get press
6,
releases
the
about
same
those
size wheels.
stupid cars all the time. Like, here's
Yeah,
the new 6x6 and you're like, oh my God, delete.
Yeah. So
Delete.
these 4 rear wheels are rather small, or at least compared to the ones in the front. And then I realized why. When you have a van, if you look in the back of a van, if you put the seats down or move the seats around, you'll see that the wheel wells intrude into that volume. You've got this big spacious volume in there, and then the wheel wells stick into that. Well, by using 4 smaller wheels, they don't really stick into the volume anymore. So you maximize the interior space, which is the whole point of this thing.
That's smart.
Okay.
We have no idea what this thing might be powered by. It might be electric, it might be hybrid, who knows? But those 4 smaller wheels in the back are entirely intended to just minimize the intrusion into the passenger volume. And because this is a vehicle that is for the owners. It's more a vehicle to be driven in than a vehicle to drive. And so you want to really optimize that interior volume, provide as much room for those people riding in the back as you possibly can. So it's something.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the across from that, there was the Lexus LS Coupe concept, which is something else entirely different. This is a 4-door, tall riding coupe. It's kind of, imagine the Toyota Crown, but taken to a new level.
It looks like it's ready
Well,
for sand. I'm just saying.
yeah,
That's all I'm
could be.
saying.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong.
If a Mercedes GLC can do it,
So can
maybe a Lexus LS Coupe.
LS Coupe concept can do it.
Well,
Yeah.
it does with those big beefy wheels
big
and the
beefy
tires
wheels.
and the clearance looks
Ride height.
high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tons of clearance.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
clearance on that.
You might not want this particular set of wheels and tires, because they're pretty low profile. You might want,
Yeah,
like a smaller set of wheels and tires with more sidewall. So that when you when you air them down, they're, you
You're
can
not
actually
riding
There's
get
on
still
the
some
something
traction.
there.
Yeah.
I like the suicide
Uh,
doors. Those are cool.
yeah, I mean, that's a typical concept thing.
Yeah.
Designers like to put
Because they
suicide
can
doors
open it
on
all
there.
up and you
So,
can see the whole thing. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But what do you think of the overall look?
I think
it,
it's kind of cool.
it
I
looks
like this
cool.
one.
I don't know who's gonna
Yeah.
buy it. It looks very rough and ready. It's like
Okay,
it looks.
somehow this
It's like it looks like it should be a Subaru concept. Is what it looks like. It should be like an STi side of
It's odd
concept.
because it wants to be sleek, like that little is so,
But
and then it's
also,
like,
but it looks
grrr.
like,
Like it can't decide. Like it's like the mullet of cars. It's like but it's like party on the top, business party
business
on the
on the
bottom. Yeah, like it's business in the front top. Like it's all sleek, and then it's like, yeah, look at this. It's a car mullet.
Well,
Carlo.
the impression I got from talking to people at Lexus is that this is probably something like this is probably the direction we're going to see them go with their next generation flagship vehicle.
I do like
I
it.
don't know that we'll see anything like the van, but I think we will
Yeah.
see something roughly like this in the next couple of years from Lexus.
Okay, what about this little teeny thing that you skip by? What is this? It's just
Um,
called
this
the
is
Lexus LS Micro Concept. You want to talk about Dune? This looks like the thing that like they just have that one big guy come out of. That's his own little cavern, his own little
Uh,
portable thing. Did you
a
see
little
this,
car. Yeah.
Robbie?
Yeah.
It's like
It's like a little.
like
It
the-
looks like a little like a credit card that you sit in.
it's really
Yeah.
tiny.
It's a single seater mobility pod,
Like
but
this is
very
the Emperor's
luxurious.
pod. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is very much the Emperor's pod.
He just gets
As long as the
driven around
Emperor
in
is
this.
not too broad shouldered, or
Yeah.
you would, Henry VIII would probably not be real happy in this thing because it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Probably
rather
not.
slim.
Out.
I
Yeah.
don't know. It does
So,
look
I
like
mean,
a throne in
I
there.
think
The way this is set up,
it,
it is
it
like
is
literally a throne.
it is very much like a throne.
I kind of want this
Yeah,
one. I want a car
and
that
and the
makes me
way
feel like I'm a queen.
the way it opens up is pretty wild. So when you look at it when it's closed, from the front, it's like if you look at it from the side, it's a rectangle, and there's square fairings around the front wheels, and if you're looking at it from the left side of the vehicle, the upper left corner, is basically like a black triangle, glass triangle, that kind of cuts across this rectangle, and that whole triangle slides upwards, up and back, and the front glass surface flips up, and then the lower portion of the bodywork flips down, so you have like a ramp, and then you have one seat in there, and there's it's beautiful inside. You got this wood, lots of wood lining in there and leather and everything, and the seat will slide forwards, and then you just gently step up out of the seat and step down that ramp.
This is so
Um,
ridiculous. I love this thing. There's not a practical thing about the square wheels. That'll do great in the winter. Imagine that in a snowbank. Just,
Yeah.
just done. But I love how this is so ridiculous that I love it.
Yeah, it is absurd. I mean, it is. Yeah, back in the day, when this was the Tokyo Motor Show, Japanese automakers would make some of the wildest concepts, and this is the kind of thing that you would see, in the 1990s or early 2000s Tokyo Motor Show. Just
Mhm.
something totally off the wall, and yeah, it's cool. They're never going to build it, I don't think, but
You'll never
it's
get it,
interesting.
but yeah. I just think that's wild.
Yeah. All right. And then after they were done with Lexus, they took a few minute pause, and they had the Century press conference. And this is the one where Chairman Akio Toyoda finally came out, and he spoke, and he talked about the history of the Toyota Century. The backstory, when it was the original Century was created, by his father or his grandfather. I can't remember now. And they're the head of engineering and design. And Century has always been, Toyota's flagship. It's only ever been sold in Japan. Big V12 engine. And it's kind of a serious luxury car. And more recently, they've expanded the Century from just the sedan. They've added an SUV, a Century SUV, and the one that they had on display there was painted in matte black, and it looked very much like a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, or a Bentley Bentayga. But what they showed, the concept that the Century concept that they showed, well, what they announced is that Century is being split off into its own sub-brand. So now you're going to have Toyota and Lexus, and above Lexus is going to be Century. And Century is going to expand beyond the Japanese market, starting primarily targeting Asia. Whether we ever see it in North America or even Europe is undecided at this point. But it's, the concept that they showed, and I don't even have a link to it here. Why don't I have
It's
a
a good
link to it?
looking. No, I just Googled and found a link, and it's actually
we
looks.
got Google on our computers.
We
thank
we
God.
got this, Sam.
Yeah.
It looks
Okay.
really cool. That color, it makes me think of the who's doing Magma? Is that Genesis with their Magma line
Genesis.
somehow?
Yeah.
The color makes me think of that. It's this very orangey red. It's
They
really
call it
cool
Ember.
looking. Ember?
It's
Okay.
Ember, yes.
Ember.
That's
It's
Uh,
really cool
yeah.
looking.
So it's this 2-door, actually no, four-door, because they're all sliding doors. Big, high-riding luxury coupe. The overall profile of this thing is kind of Rolls-Royce, kind
Yeah.
of the kind of Dawn or Spectre kind of profile, but taller. High, it's like the Lexus, like the LS coupe. It looks like it's ready to go off road. So this is the kind of thing that maybe you sell to extremely wealthy people in the Middle East. To go off in the dunes in the Middle East. And
Dunes.
it's a 3-seater. So there's one front seat, and then that's kind of separated from the two back seats, and then the and this one, because it's Japan, it's right-hand drive, the left rear seat can also slide forward and then tilt outwards to make it easier to get in and out of the car. The the doors on either side split. It comes out from the body, splits and slides forward and back. So sliding doors. It's a pretty wild looking concept, and the paint. I mean, it's amazing on this
Yeah,
thing.
it's really
It
good looking.
really stands out.
Yeah, it is very cool.
And the logo for Century is a phoenix. Because part of the original idea with Century, when they created the original Toyota Century, in the post-war era, it was kind of the phoenix rising from the ashes of post-war Japan. So we will probably see something like this produced and sold again in a couple of years.
I mean, interesting. It doesn't seem like something that makes sense to bring here, but who knows? Maybe they will. But
Well, I
it
mean,
does look
Century
cool.
has never sold in huge numbers anyway.
Right.
And they're targeting Mercedes-Benz, or no, more Maybach and Bentley and Rolls-Royce with this thing. So they're not looking to sell tens of thousands of these.
Very many. Yeah. It's really
this
low
is
volume
more,
vehicle. Yeah.
in the hundreds to low thousands.
Yeah.
At most globally.
Mhm.
Well, okay. Sure.
All right. Well, Robbie, you mentioned Subaru. And so let's move to Subaru. Subaru had two concepts on display: the Performance B concept and the Performance B STi. and the Performance E STi. And they discontinued the Impreza WRX STi a couple of years ago, but it looks like it's coming back in the Performance E, or the Performance B, I should say. So and they're bringing back the hatchback. So you got a WRX hatchback with a giant wing and big, turbocharged engine in there, and
scoop.
big flared fenders. I mean, it's also got a manual transmission.
Woohoo! That looks
As
fun.
it should.
Yeah.
It looks very
So,
fun. These actually they have a bunch of fun concepts in here. Look at that wilderness concept even. The wilderness, like all these, the Outback Wilderness. I need to specify.
the Forester Wilderness.
There's a Forester Wilderness prototype and an Outback Wilderness
Oh,
prototype. Look
yeah.
at the Outback Wilderness prototype. That looks slick.
Yeah, they've got that one all rigged up with some saddlebags on the
Yeah.
side and a roof rack
That
and a
looks
bike rack on the back.
cool. Oh, it's
I'm
very
sure
cool.
I'm pretty sure they'll build. And the Performance B STi, I mean, they're not saying anything specifically, but I think the fact that they built this and showed it, they're bringing that back. I mean, hardcore Subaru performance fans have been clamoring for this car, and I'm pretty sure it'll be back probably next year.
They'll be very excited.
What
It's
do you
probably
think of
gonna
the
do really well.
Performance E STi?
It looks like a
Let's think of the wrong thing.
um
ESTI.
BRZ or GR86 or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, it does a little bit. You're right. The Burrs 86.
It's like the Burrs 86
Well,
a little bit.
but this is a lot bigger. It's actually a little bigger than the WRX. It's a big 5-door hatchback. And the one they had on the show floor, I'll have links to some photos in the show notes. But this one was finished. It's in the same Subaru classic performance blue. They had on their rally cars for years and years, and it was always kind of the color of WRX and STi, but it was in a matte version of that. And this thing looks stunning. And I was talking to one of the Subaru people. This is not built on the Solterra platform. This is an EV. It's just electric, and it's a completely in-house Subaru developed platform. So this is they're not committing to anything, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them build something like this in a few years' time. And
I hope
it looked
so.
fantastic.
I mean,
Yeah.
it looks cool. Subaru does. I mean, they have money from. I mean, mostly they work with Toyota, but they're not like a huge company, but they do really well in this country, and they have the market that loves Subaru. That's the
Yeah.
thing with Subaru
Mm-hmm.
Subaru people love their Subarus. Like I'm on
Yeah,
my second
absolutely.
Subaru, and I'm like, wow, it'd be cool if we had another cool Subaru coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well, there's definitely cool Subarus. I mean, that Performance B STi. I mean, that one I think is definitely coming, and I think the E will be coming at some point as well.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right, and then Mazda had a couple of concepts as well, and the two Mazda concepts were real interesting. One was a little B segment car, so kind of a Mazda 2 sized car. And that one, that one basically had no kind of infotainment interface on it. It's all voice controlled. I don't know if we'll see something like that. It's using an AI chatbot.
That's not coming here.
Yeah. Well, it's not coming anyway, but I do think that the Vision X Compact, which is that one, I think that one will probably be built for overseas markets, where they appreciate small cars, and it's it's got the the Kodo design language, but it's good. I like the design. Not as crazy about the interior. And then there was the Vision X concept, which is a whole different beast. This is a 5-door coupe. It's 5 meters long. So this car is about the size of a Genesis G80.
Wow.
And when you see this thing, when you look at the lines, like the shape of the side glass and everything, you look at it in profile, it looks like they took a current Mazda 3 hatchback and stretched this thing out by about 2 feet and squished it down a little bit and made it wider, and longer hood, and it looks fantastic when you see it. And it has, because it's Mazda, it's got a rotary engine in it. It's a turbocharged 2-rotor Wankel rotary plug-in
Sure.
hybrid.
Yeah, we're gonna get that rotary engine any day now.
100 miles of electric range, 500 miles total. They say it's designed to run on biofuel derived from microalgae, and it has a mobile carbon capture system on it. So in the exhaust system, the exhaust goes through this thing that it's filled with something called zeolite that absorbs the CO2 from the exhaust gas flowing over it. And then there's a pair of electric compressors that then take that CO2 and put it into a storage tank in the car. And the way the system is intended to work is, that storage tank is removable. So it's kind of like, when you get a propane tank exchange, and in reverse. So, normally you would take your empty propane tank, to wherever, where they've got the Blue Rhino or, whatever brand,
Swap it
and
out.
you exchange it for a full one. And you pay way too much for the propane because they only give you 15 pounds of propane. Whereas if you just take it to some place that just sells bulk propane and take your empty tank there, you pay like half as much and get more propane.
Yeah.
Whole other story. But
we're dropping propane knowledge on y'all, folks. It's like King of the Hill,
right?
Yeah. Been watching too much King of the Hill. Anyway, the idea here is that when you stop at the fuel station, you slide this tank out, the full tank, and you exchange it with an empty tank and put that in there to collect your CO2 until the next time you fill up. And then those tanks can then be taken off somewhere, and the CO2 used for industrial applications, or perhaps taken to a facility where they're growing microalgae to make biofuel and used to feed the algae, or put into a large scale carbon capture system. It's an interesting idea. I was talking to head of strategy from Mazda about this, and I asked, so how much of the CO2 from the exhaust stream is captured? So they're targeting about 20%. So it's about a 20% reduction in direct CO2 emissions.
Let's just talk about how carbon capture is essentially a scam anyway. So why are we putting it on a car? Just do some research about carbon capture, folks. It's not, it is a,
Well, the other thing is, to do this,
make it a hybrid. How about that? How about get rid of 40% of the CO2 and make it a hybrid?
You would have to. Well, it's already a plug-in hybrid, so you've already done that, and you're running it on biofuel, algae biofuel.
Well, whatever the hell that means. Hold on, I gotta pull up to the ocean, get some algae biofuel.
In order to do this, you would have to have, an infrastructure set up. So all the fueling stations would have to have, this setup, for exchanging the CO2 tanks, to store the CO2 tanks and give you empty ones. And really, to make it commercially viable, everybody would, every automaker would have to do this.
Yeah.
If it's just Mazda, nobody's going to do it.
It's a concept car. We,
making
fun of the ridiculousness of a concept car is, I don't know why I'm getting so angry about carbon capture. I just, the fact that people are like, hey, how about carbon capture? No. But yeah,
what do you think of the design of the car?
Oh, it looks cool.
It looks good.
It looks almost like a wagon, which
yeah.
It's got a really long hood, I guess, for capturing carbon, I guess. This is where we
Yeah.
put all our carbons that we've captured, like Ghostbusters. We got to catch all the carbons. Yeah. I mean, the automakers always, with these, the wheels are made out of, reclaimed, I don't know, chicken bones, and the motor runs on, unicorn farts, and concept cars always have some crazy ideas, which is cool because you're like, oh, we're kind of thinking about something in the future. But especially when it comes to like powertrain stuff, and it's typically a little like, yeah, it's just like, designers had some fun. And the engineers will talk again, like, oh, we can, what? I read a thing about a thing. Let's just make it. Let's just say it does that. Like, it doesn't have to do any
Mhm.
of these things because it doesn't. It's a model. It's once I was on an auto show like really late, and they were moving the Mini, the Mini Electric, the first one, and they had a
Yeah.
remote control like it was a giant remote control car. They were like, it only went like 3 miles an hour at tops, and they were trying to get it off the stage. Like, so yeah, they're not. None of these are real cars, but they look cool. Um, frankly, I still like the little tiny compact, but
Yeah.
America.
We can't have nice things.
You can't have nice things.
I think a lot about the amount of kids who are riding e-bikes now. Like, are they going to grow up and be like, why would I buy anything that runs on gas? Like, they're already used to plugging in their stuff at night, and they're already used to the instant torque of all that. Like, and now they're buying like little electric motorcycles everywhere. I wonder what happens with them when they get old enough to like buy a car. Do they just like, I'm getting a gas car, or do they like, oh, well, why would I get this when I can get something that has instant torque? And just a thought.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for Tokyo. Next week I'll talk about the stuff I drove at Honda's Tochigi Proving Grounds.
Woo!
Before I left for Japan, I did go over to Ryan O'Gorman's house last Friday. Ryan O'Gorman is director. Can't remember exactly what his title is. He's at
Home
Ford.
Energy? Yeah, Ford Home Energy.
Yeah. And so he got a demo of Ford Home Power Management. So you remember when the Lightning came out, they had this pretty slick home backup power system that I guess a few hundred people have purchased. So it allows you to connect your Lightning to your car or to your house, and when the power goes out, it'll automatically switch over and power your whole house off of the battery in your Lightning. Well, that's kind of an insurance policy. And when your power goes out, and you might use it, a couple times a year, or you might never end up using it. So Ford's been looking at, okay, how can we make this system more useful to customers? And actually kind of make it pay for itself. And so they came up with Home Power Management, which uses the exact same hardware. It's just a software update to it. That what it's designed to do is look at if you're on time of use rates with your local utility during the times when you're on peak rates, your peak power rates. What it'll do is it will, if your vehicle's plugged in, it will automatically start powering your house off the vehicle up to whatever maximum power the vehicle can output. And if you have demand that goes beyond that, it can still take power from the grid, but it's blending it. And then when you go to off-peak rates, then it recharges the battery back up again. And people really overestimate how much electricity they actually use in their house compared to how much electricity your vehicle uses. So it typically doesn't actually take that much power or that much energy from your vehicle battery. And it's a pretty slick system. And especially if you live somewhere where you have very expensive electricity, like California.
Like my house. My house is like 5 by 5, and I just pay like $1,000 a month or something. No, I don't pay that much, and it's bigger.
This could actually potentially save you quite a bit of money. The challenge, of course, with systems like this has always been what they call the interconnect to the grid, to make this work with the grid. Because in order to have a system like this where your house is still connected to the grid, but you're mostly taking power from the vehicle, you have to demonstrate to the utility that, you got clean power coming out of the vehicle and that it's frequency matched with the frequency of the power from the grid, because, alternating current, and there's a bunch of other requirements. And then, the next step beyond this is, actual, feeding power back into the grid, if there's too much demand on the grid. And so right now they're testing this testing this in Michigan. They've got 15 Ford employees that live in different places and different kinds of houses, different setups, and they're testing it with DTE Energy. They've also been testing it in Baltimore with Baltimore Gas and Electric, and they started that test in 2024 and ran that for about 6 months in 2024. Again, same thing, with primarily just blending. And now this year, in Baltimore, the utility liked the system so much that they're actually testing, feeding power back into the grid, and having the consumers, get credit or get paid for the power they're feeding into the grid. Basically turning their vehicle into a virtual power plant. And possibly sometime in 2026, start to see, as they get approval from various utilities, start to see some general availability rollout of this. It's a pretty cool system. And I spent about 40 minutes sitting in Ryan's truck, parked in his driveway with the truck plugged into his charger and powering his entire house, pulling about 2 kilowatts, roughly, from the truck to power his whole house. And, 2 kilowatts, for something like an F-150 Lightning is nothing. If you're driving down the highway at 70 miles an hour in an F-150, it's going to be pulling probably about 15 or 20 kilowatts just to move the truck. So, it's barely a dent. And, from the testing that they've done, they found that this has no real impact on the lifespan of the battery, the durability of the battery. So got a recording of the conversation I had with Ryan, which I will tack on at the end here. Give it a listen. Some interesting stuff in there. And I think that's it for this week.
That is it.
Anything else?
No, I think we're done.
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We will talk to you all next time.
Bye.
Bye. And you can start wherever you like.
Well, I think I can start kind of from the beginning a bit. So when we launched the F-150, we introduced intelligent backup power, and now it's called home backup power. And basically, we have the charger, and we're obviously putting energy into the vehicle with AC power. And then we through customer research and things, we learned there's an opportunity here. And the opportunity is to take the same resource that customers already own, sits in their driveway, and is at rest 22 hours a day, right? And give them access to the power they already own. So we took the DC pins. So if you look at our charge plug, we have DC and AC in the same coupler, fully populated. Take the DC pins out, and you can pull them through the charger. And then there's an inverter on the back of the house there, the gray box sticking out. And in the top, we take the 400 volt energy you get off the vehicle, convert that to 240 usage for the house. So we have a DC-DC converter that then is converted to the AC, and we put the AC into your main panel. Okay. And then we have what's called, so this is our Ford Charge Station Pro. It's our 80 amp charger. And then we have what's called the home integration system. The home integration system composes of,
you get the transfer switch and the smart inverter.
So you have the inverter, transfer switch, and a dark start battery, which basically powers out. So you have to communicate. So there's a battery that does that. And so, it'll read the powers out. And then it communicates. There's a series of communications between the units. And then once it's confirmed the power's out, the energy's ready, the truck's ready, we dispatch the power into the house, and it back feeds the panel, which is now isolated from the grid.
So I know when this system first came out, and I saw some stories, a couple people that had the system. Like, what's her name now? I can't remember now. She lives out in Oregon. She's got a YouTube channel. There were, some reports that when the power stopped, it took quite a while for it to actually start, and it was a little flaky sometimes.
Yeah, there's about 45 seconds to a minute, and then there are various interferences and things. It was a new product, nascent to market at the time, so obviously we had some growing pains, but we've worked the majority of those out. But yeah, it's not quite as like some people want it to switch on immediately, and it can take a minute. It'll try a few times if it's struggling to get started, but yeah, it will. It's generally about a minute and a half.
Okay.
So when you have once it identifies the power's out, because you have to remember you have to disconnect from the grid first, confirm the disconnection, then you have to communicate with the truck. So if your truck's gone to sleep or anything like that, it's not like
wake it up.
Yeah, you got to wake it up, and it's not like a generator. You just flip it on because you want to do it responsibly, and you can't just export power without knowing where it's going, right? So there's a communication between the charge station, the inverter, and the vehicle.
And is that going through the communications pins on the CCS connector?
Yep.
To wake up the truck?
Yeah, so we wake up the truck that way. We actually communicate wirelessly with the charge station. So there's a wireless communication between that to do the operation, but we can wake up the truck by kind of pulsing the communication protocol.
Okay.
So that's how that generally works. And then what we're introducing now is home power management. So same system. The difference is you don't have to isolate from the grid now. So obviously, in order to do that, you have to have to do home backup power. We had a filing in Michigan that we cooperated with the major utilities in Michigan, and that allows us to do home backup power without an interconnection. It sounds like you're familiar with interconnection, or
A little bit.
okay. So think of interconnection as if I want to put an addition on my house, I have to get a permit to make sure I'm following all the rules.
Yeah.
Right. And my grade is right and my foundation's set properly. So an interconnection means that the utility company recognizes your technology responsibly interacts with their power, meaning our power is frequency matched, it's quality, it's not disruptive, things like that. So in order to do that, now that you're interacting with the grid, you need to match the power that the grid's providing, because it's coming into your house and you're meeting it. If something goes wrong, there's a problem.
And the same would be true if you just did a solar install on your home.
Solar, stationary storage, anything like that interacts with the grid while the grid's live. Yes, you have to get an interconnection. So with an interconnection, you have to basically work with the utility company to make sure they're comfortable with the way your technology works, from transitions to power levels to activation, and you're responsible. And obviously Ford wants to do that. So we've been working with utilities across the country to introduce home power management. And in doing so, we've achieved interconnection with several utilities. And what that now means is when we want to run grid tied like we're doing right now. So like right now, if I pull up my DTE app, you can see DTE seeing from my house, it'll be about 100, 200. So they're seeing about 200 watts.
Flowing from this truck through the house back into the grid?
No, so that's what the grid's providing my house.
Okay.
I'm actually using 2.2 kilowatts.
Oh, okay.
So it's only seeing
So it's
like
blend.
100 watts.
So all total, your house is using about 2.5 kilowatts,
That's
2.4 of which is coming from this truck right now.
That's right.
Okay.
So it's basically coming from the truck. You can see this bounces around a little bit. The energy in my house is probably fluctuating.
Yeah, refrigerators cycling.
Yeah, you got cycling. So this is like a buffer, because we don't, if this buffer weren't here, when it were to drop, we'd be sending energy back to the grid.
Okay.
Exporting. We're not allowed to export, and that's part of the responsibility of the interconnection. We have to validate that our process is going to work in this way, where we're prioritizing the house power from the truck.
Okay.
And then we're managing any fluctuations from.
So you're able to blend in the power from the truck battery up to the point of
what that can offer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But you can't send it out to it from the house back to the grid then.
Yeah, to be there's two types of, there's definitely millions of types of interconnection, but our interconnection is zero export.
Right. Okay.
Now we are in Baltimore right now doing the next phase. So in Baltimore, with Baltimore Gas and Electric, we had 3 customers last year who were the pilot introduction of home power management. So we gave them home power management from I think it was June through September, 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran for 4 months with Baltimore. And there's just 3 customers, and they did this. They were powering their house, 0 export.
To validate that the system was working properly.
Make sure everything works good. We're kind of demonstrating how cool this is. And then this year, they were so excited with how successful it was. Like, and then we've been slowly rolling out to other markets since then with home power management. But now they're doing export. So we have the same 3 customers, same systems, did some software update, and now they can export. So this summer they went June to September, and they powered their house for the 2+ kilowatts that they needed, and then the rest went back to the grid. So they're putting 7 to 8 kilowatts back into the grid.
Oh, okay.
And so the way the kind of benefits of that work is, when I do this, the general way it's set up is it runs off of a time of use schedule. If you're familiar with time of use. So my time of use schedule is actually 11 to 7. We flipped my schedule so we could do this before 11, but so my schedule is 11 to 7. So what would typically happen is overnight, once it gets past 7 p.m., my truck would start charging. And once it would charge, then the next day at 11 p.m., if it's plugged in, it would start discharging the house, take my house off the grid.
Okay.
And so what I'm doing is I'm saving 8 cents from here to here. So every kilowatt that I'm using, charging, and then discharging into the house, I saved 8 cents. Now, we're Michigan, not quite as dramatic of a market as, say, Texas or Arizona or California. They might have rates that are 30, 40, 50, as much as 70 cents delta.
Right.
So you can imagine if I live in Southern California and it's a super peak, they call it, a super peak period, I might be charging really low cost, like 20 cents, and I might be paying 70 cents for peak. Now I'm not paying 70 cents, I'm paying 20 cents anytime my truck's there. So that's one advantage. And then with this V to G thing we're doing with export in Baltimore, you're actually figuratively selling that energy back to the grid. So they're going to pay you an incentive or pay you a unit of energy fee, and you get that benefit.
So is that utility in Baltimore, are they actually doing that now? Have you figured out the financing model for that to provide some form of revenue, whether it's a credit on your bill or whatever it might be, for those customers?
Yeah, those customers are given a benefit for an incentive, and they're capped at $1,000.
Okay.
So I think last year there's one customer made over that, and so they put a cap. But that industry's still navigating the value of it. Significant value, because they otherwise have to turn on like a peaker plant. Right. And then the thing that is additional to that, that's harder to kind of calculate, and I'm not sure, it's not our job to do that, so we don't necessarily understand it, but you've got a transformer back over here, and then you've got a substation. I can go put a commercial sized battery in for a utility at the plant to buffer peak and load and things like that. It doesn't handle the distribution network. So if I've got everybody cranking the air conditioner, and this transformer's blown 3 times since we've lived here in 13 years, if I had 2 neighbors like myself doing this, that's no problem anymore, because not only
taking the load off that transformer,
taking the load off the transformer, and if I could export, I'm powering those 3 houses too, or 4 houses, right? So, now the
local distribution network, I forget the exact terminology for it, but that local circuit here in your neighborhood, you would be potentially be feeding the power back to the local
network,
circuit,
so
but
the
not
draw
the main
point
grid.
from the grid through the transformer is lower.
Okay.
Yeah. And you could backfeed it, if everybody had, you could backfeed all the way to the main grid. So that's up to the utility company how that's managed.
Okay.
The nice part is, now that you have these resources kind of at the distributed level, you can have this, like my house just disappeared from the grid right now. Right? Like they don't see my house. They may be like, where'd that house go?
Yeah.
They having power work done on their house, but this is quite a bit of power. And so it's interesting that, the way these demand response programs, if you're familiar, the way they worked in the past was it might change your degrees in your house with your thermostat 3 degrees, right? That's like moving the needle like this. This makes the house disappear. Like we found ourselves, now that this is an opportunity, not me, but my wife will actually, on the hot days she'll actually crank the air up knowing we're running off the truck and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if our like net savings on our bill is quite there, but the logic of it is definitely still.
But even if you're not necessarily in a situation like you just described, if you're not necessarily saving any significant money yourself, you are taking that load off the grid. You're able to take advantage of that air conditioning, on those hot. This summer was particularly hot. We had long stretches.
We did, yeah.
Heat and humidity,
days, yeah.
and so you're taking that load off the grid. So that's a little bit less probability that, you're going to have an outage for everybody.
Exactly. And I think there's the independence of it. Like I'm running off my energy, right? I bought this energy and now I'm using it the way I want to use it, which is kind of cool. The other cool part is, yes, I'm powering my house.
Time shifting your energy.
I'm time shifting it.
Like we did with VCRs and DVRs.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you have the that's a great analogy. And then the other thing that I like is I don't think of it as the grid as much as my neighbors. So like we've had events where they're like, hey, we need you to reduce energy. It doesn't happen as much here, but in Texas, where my parents are actually here right now from Houston, they'll actually tell them to turn on their natural gas generators because the grid's so tight. Well, now you would be running your house and you can look across the street at your neighbor and say, you're good. You can run your air conditioner because my air conditioner is not online. My house isn't online. My truck's not using the grid right now. You're good. Right. So it's almost like, it helps the grid, but I think of it as this feel good moment. And, I did have a conversation with a neighbor once and, I had that conversation. I was like, well, my house is off the grid right now, so you're welcome. It's like you can run your air conditioner because our transformer is no longer going to blow because of this opportunity. So I think as this scales to market, it's going to be really interesting to see the impacts.
And you're describing some of the southern states where you have periods of very high peak rates, super peak electricity rates. Now you start to see the economics of this because obviously the system is not inexpensive, both for the hardware and the cost of installation, and especially I think probably for your house, because you've got a detached garage, it was probably quite a bit more.
I did the trenching myself, but
saved
the bus there.
So now when you start to add up that for a scenario like that where you've got those very high rates, now you start to see the actual payback. It's not just the convenience of when you have a power outage, you've still got power. But now you can actually get a real financial payback on that investment you've made in this system.
Yeah, it's a bit like an insurance policy paying you, right? Because you buy the backup system for your insurance, right? So that your freezer doesn't go, your pipes don't freeze, whatever. And that's at a cost competitive level with a full house backup system, right? So you kind of break even there on the backup. But yeah, now your truck can be sitting in the driveway working for you and either saving you money, making you money, being reliance for the grid, all those types of things. So yeah, it's imagine if your insurance company paid you money, because you had something work a certain way. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's neat on the savings level because you don't do anything. Like that's the weird part about it. You plug in just like you always do. You drive like you always do. And when your vehicle's home, and I've had the question where, well, what if the vehicle's not home? And it's like, what causes peak? It's when everybody gets home. It's like the peak period matches your behavior for the most part.
They can dinner, doing the dishes.
Kids come in, turn the computers on, TVs, everything's happening. Your air conditioner goes up because everybody's coming home. So yeah, you're kind of timed really like nicely with that. So with that perspective, you don't change anything. Like this just is natural fit for the usage of the product. But it's also cool that you drive your truck maybe 2 hours a day at the most. Like me, it's an hour and a half. And then the rest of the time you didn't do anything with it previously. Now it's working for me for hours in the evening. Right. And that's why I'm on the 11 to 7, because anytime I'm home, because I'll still work from home once a week. And sometimes I'll leave the truck home. Like we had a few hot days. I took my wife's car. And it's like, there's a bunch of different kind of trade-offs here that are really interesting. And one thing that we're going to learn, which is the great part about being on the front edge of this for Ford, is how customers behave. Like, how do they change their behavior? What do they do differently? What do they like about it? And so like what we're seeing with, the gentleman's name he's been public in Baltimore. His name's Brian. Brian changed some of his behavior. Like he got home he wanted his truck always run in that peak period to keep his house lower cost. And he really gamed the system and exercised. And it was like, wow, this is cool. And then we had one of the other 3 customers who just lived normally. He didn't change his life before and after and had savings as well. So it's really interesting to see the adoption of this mentally, because some people just, they don't even think about energy, right? Because you only have one energy company to pull from. Now you have an option. Yeah. Now that they have that option, they want to like take advantage of it.
You've got a multimodal energy system.
You do,
Okay.
yeah.
So, one of the concerns, with any type of bidirectional VDC, VDH type of system, for a long time, has been the effect on the vehicle battery, because now you're potentially cycling the battery a lot more than you would be just riding. So the number of charge and discharge cycles you're going through have Yeah, I assume, Ford has looked at some of that, and, you've done testing to see, how much real impact it actually is there on the battery. How much does it potentially reduce the lifespan of the battery, or does it have any, does it, maybe depending on how you're cycling it, how you're managing it, what maximum state of charge and discharge you're using, is it maybe actually healthier for the battery?
Great questions. So what I'll start with is, I think the first is the comprehension of how much this is using. Like, a lot of people will think, oh, I can't do that because I need to use my car every day.
Yeah, I think that's people overestimate how much power they actually.
Totally overestimate. So on a normal day, that like during a peak period or whatever, you're going to probably use 6 miles per hour.
Mhm.
Like, per hour of using your truck, it's
Yeah.
6 miles. So this morning, just for this demo, I took a screenshot and I was at 261 miles at 7 o'clock.
Mhm.
This is when my kids get up, coffee, toaster oven, microwave. My daughter was actually doing some finishing up on her homework and computer. They had the TV on. So this was 7 o'clock, and then I did a screenshot at 8 o'clock, 259. So in 1 hour, and you have that morning peak when this all happens. So 1 hour we had a space heater going. 1 hour we used 2 miles.
Okay.
So when you put that in context of driving down the road and things like that, so that's the first kind of thing, is the awareness of, does it actually use the battery? Does it actually? Yes, it does, but it's probably not the expectation people would think. They might think, oh, I'm going to use like half my battery every day. No, it's about 6 miles on a normal regular usage day. I use 2 on a non-air conditioned area, whatever. So you figure if it's about 6, your peak period usually 4 or 5 hours. So you're talking 20 to 30 miles in a day, right? Now, we have a team within Ford that's working on managing the battery optimization and battery health and things like that. The big tell from Ford is, we're not changing the warranty if you do this.
Okay.
So we're giving you the same standard warranty, and we're giving you the ability to do this every day. So the expectation will be, through everything we know, that we are containing the warranty. Don't worry, we've got your back. We're not going to put any burden or liability on
So
the
if you're
customer.
using it 365 days a year, doing, like say here, you got 3 to 7 with DTE is your
Yep.
peak rates. And if you're running off your vehicle for those 4 hours every day, 365 days a year,
Your battery
batteries-
warranty is the same.
Okay.
You get to the end of battery warranty, and we got your back.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. So yeah, we anticipate that. And again, you did ask the question about benefits. Those are the types of things that our team's looking at. We do optimization. So we're making sure that what we're doing is in the most responsible way possible and most beneficial to the consumer. But yeah, I mean, I had my last F-150 for 3 years, and I didn't have any issues, and we didn't do home power management yet, but I was obviously doing simulations of backup power all the time because I was part of a working group that worked on that. So now doing this, though, like I said, I think this is the part that's kind of insightful for me, is the amount of energy you're actually using is not the anticipation that people might think it could be. And I'm on the 11 to 7 just because it's, a much longer period of time. I've got 8 hours a day, and so I can exercise it much more frequently. So I'm trying to live the customer experience and see what's happening.
So with the home energy management, you can, how would that work? Do you set the schedule like in the forecast app
great
or
question.
something else? So that's the time when, if the car's plugged in, it's going to start drawing power from the vehicle to power your house.
Yeah, so you would go into Ford's app.
Okay.
And you have your vehicle location, you have energy.
Is that in the Ford Pass app, or is there a separate app for this?
We also have an energy app that shows you, it'll probably log me out because it does an auto log out. But we also have an energy app, so this will show you the what's happening with your vehicle as well. And it gives you a view of your schedule. Like I said, my schedule's special today because I'm 11 to 7. We had to pull it ahead. But that's how we would do it for DT too, is if DT has an event and they want it to occur, we'd send the information down to the vehicle. So you can see my vehicle's running basically all day, kind of just turned on the whole time. But it's powering the house right now, and it'll go from 6 to 9:59 p.m. is my period. So you would put your schedule in. We have a flow or an experience where you can select your utility and your plan, or you can just put the hours in, whatever's easiest for you. We can also make an estimate, right? Like, if you live in Michigan, you have no idea, 99% chance you're on the base plan, right? So we would just apply that. So those types of experiences are what we're doing. And then, yes, we just would map to that TOU, that rate plan that you're on. And then what we're doing with DT in the pilot is working to receive signals. We have 15 Ford employees that are trialing this right now, kind of first of its kind. We've done the home power management where you just follow the schedule. Now we're going to do DT is going to say, hey, tomorrow at 2 to 4, or right now we need you to do something different. We will be able to dispatch those 15 vehicles in that way. So yeah, there's the either schedule, kind of set schedule, and the schedule changes throughout the year. You've got holidays, you've got weekends, you get seasonal variation. So the system does all that for the customer. You don't have to think, we'll manage
So
it.
that comes straight from the utility to your account that sets automatically adjusts the schedule.
We know what the plans are. We know what plan you're on. If you don't know, we do the default, and then we just manage to those plans, and we know what the plan does over time. And then we pay attention to the utilities, and if they change the plan, we're going to adapt that for you as well. So it's all automated. It's all just kind of no-brainer, easy to do. And then the other part of it is if you sign up for the kind of program with the utility, which 15 of us are trialing right now, they'll send something to Ford saying, hey, this is what we want over the next period. And Ford will adapt your schedule and download it to the truck. And then you'll see your schedule the same way I was looking at mine here. You don't see it right now, but there'd be blue sections typically where it's going to charge. So you'd see the schedule, so you know what's going to happen, and you can always override it. If you want to charge or you don't want to transfer, whatever, you can always do an override.
Okay.
So,
and then presumably if you need to go somewhere during the time when it's powering the house, when you
unplug and go where you want to go. Come back, plug back in, and it'll start up again.
Okay.
The one.
So I guess that's the advantage of having the blended system where you've got power coming from multiple sources.
It starts taking from the grid, and then it takes from the truck when the truck's here. And you can see I have my range reserve set to 10 miles, which is really low. I think that's the lowest we have. And that's just because I know better. I'm not worried that this is ever going to be a problem. But some people may set it like 200 miles, and say you came home and you're 200 miles, it's not going to use the truck because you want that 200 miles. So we do have controls for the customer. They're in full control the whole time, but they don't have to think about it. The only thing they think about it is if they're ever at a point where they are at risk. And I have come home less than 10 miles to empty before. So, but not in a situation where it would be powering or not charging. So it's usually at night when I get back from dropping a kid at college or something. But yeah.
Okay. So in terms of availability of this now, is this generally available to DTE customers at this point, or is it still?
So we're working with DTE right now to make it available. We've brought it to 9 states.
Okay.
And those are typically with a single or a couple utilities. Obviously we're in Baltimore. We're in Vermont, Michigan, Ohio.
And the export program in Baltimore, that's still a pilot, right?
That's just the 3 customers. Yeah. And it's similar to what we're doing with, so there's policy thresholds, right? So to do isolated backup power is not a big deal. And we had, I think I mentioned it, but we've got a filing that we had success with. We worked with the utility companies in Michigan to say there's no interconnection required across Michigan to do backup power because there's no interaction with the grid. So as long as we're proving we're isolated from the grid before we start a process, we don't need to interconnect. So we got that. Now with home power management, we're doing the same things. We have backup power across the country. Now we're doing home power management. We're doing the same kind of process we did with backup power. We're slowly leaning into the market and saying, hey, we can do this. And there's more policy required because you have to interconnect. So now that we're interconnecting, we're going through that process with utilities.
And it's got to be a one-by-one basis.
Right now it's 1 by 1. We're also going to be working the same way we did with backup power and the success we had in Michigan, whereas if you can get a public utility commission or state level approval, then all the utilities have agreed to do it the same way. So that's, this is new and it's a relatively nascent market. To expect a state to just say, hey, we're going to do this, it's not realistic. So yeah, we're being responsible and we're bringing it to market and working with key partners in the industry that are influencers. And so as we do that, to export, that takes even more policy because now you're actually putting energy back into the grid. So you have to, the quality of energy and all that's already been proven. So that's not the problem. Now the challenge is, when do you do it and under what conditions can you do it? And because taking your house offline, that's not super disruptive to the grid. It's actually helpful, right? Putting energy back into the grid, if you did that when they were at a low period and already overcapacitized, like at night, and you started putting power back into the grid, they don't need it. Right. So that's
or as I was saying to Emma earlier, I think, one of the situations that's a concern is if there actually is, if there's been a storm, the power line down, the crew's working,
Yeah.
you don't want the power flowing back into the grid into the lines while there's crews working somewhere to put lines back up.
And that's one of the key aspects to interconnection is, does our system shut off when there's an outage? And which it does. It actually, well, you can do backup power, but it will be isolated at that point. So are we sure we're isolating? Are we sure like if the grid goes down, are we sure we shut down first? Like we stop buying power so you don't have that problem. So that's part of interconnection. So that's
why you can detect that through the
same backup system.
Through the backup system that there's nothing coming from the grid.
The grid's dead, so we shut down.
Flip the transfer switch. And
so when the grid goes dark, because we can't flip the transfer switch immediately. So when the grid goes dark, we shut down immediately.
Okay.
And then we go through the sequence.
Go through the normal
power back up with a disconnect from the grid. Yeah. And then when the power would come back, if you're still in a power management mode, we'd do the same in reverse. We'd make sure the power is back on the grid and it's stable. Once it meets that requirement, we would shut the truck down. We transition back, pull energy from the grid, make sure everything's good. System would monitor the grid power, create quality power off the truck, and reestablish the connection, and boom, we're back on home power management.
And this all works with the same hardware. So if somebody bought a Lightning back in 2022 when it first came out and bought one of these systems and installed it in their house, that's the same. The hardware is unchanged. It's just
so Brian in Baltimore has done backup power. Was an original buyer.
2022 Lightning.
With his 2022, yep. He's one of the original kind of adopters. So he did backup power. He did home power management last summer. He did vehicle to grid export this summer, and he has not had to have an electrician out to his house. It's all been software updates by Ford that we do remotely to the devices and update the software and enable it. And then we're off and running.
Great. I mean, that's, now the both convenience and the economics of these kinds of systems are really starting to make some sense for people. I said, it's not an inexpensive system to put in, but you start to see some genuine benefits from it.
Yeah, I mean, if you bought it for backup power, this is all surprise and delight. This is frosting on top.
Yeah, I mean, the backup power, you might only use a couple times a year, or maybe not ever while you own the vehicle. But now all of a sudden you've got something that every day provides a real benefit.
Your truck sitting in your driveway and doing something for you. So I like to think of it as working for you.
Yeah,
like it's and the big tell was when we were still working from home. I played with the concept of this we would simulate outages. So I would for a week shut my power down in the morning at like 11 o'clock.
Just go flip your main switch.
Go flip my main, and I'd run off, and then I'd flip it back on at like 7 o'clock. And I was working from home every day, and it was exciting. It was like, wow, this is what it's really going to do. Like this is how it's going to act and behave. And without me having to go to the basement and flip main and, keep my fingers crossed everything works.
Set it up,
turn it back
on. It off. Takes care of everything for you.
Yeah, and the nice part is there's no like transition. Like when the system comes on and comes off, there's no flicker in the house. There's like backup power. There is a transition.
Sure.
But here it's like starts taking power from the truck, starts taking power from the grid, and it just fluctuates. And you can see it fluctuates up and down as things come on. I don't know what they're doing inside, but numbers changed a bit while we've been sitting here. So you'll see that fluctuation go, and it's kind of cool.
I'm looking at your cluster there. It's been sitting at 91%, for the last half hour that we've been sitting here, and it's powering your house.
Yeah, and this is actually a pretty substantial pull right now. So I have a feeling there's a space heater on somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a couple of years ago we had a power outage after a storm, and I'd been running stuff off a gas generator I have. Yeah, it's a portable gas generator, and I posted something, and Emma reached out to me and offered to send over a Lightning. I said, well, I've got a generator, but then it occurred to me, but wait, some of my neighbors don't have power. So if you send the Lightning over, I can loan my generator to somebody
else.
Yeah, there you go. That's as you're writing this story.
Yeah. And then coming back, the funny thing was when the truck was delivered, I switched all my extension cords over, plugged everything into the truck to get the power, because obviously I didn't have the home backup system. But just powering off the Pro Power on board. And when I looked at the draw, running two refrigerators and some fans and lights and assorted other things in the house, and I looked at the draw, it was barely pulling like maybe 1.5 kilowatts. So I think especially in an emergency situation, you can actually get by with a lot less power than than you realize.
Well, I think that's the thing is people don't anticipate the amount of energy they use.
Yeah.
Like somebody will say, yeah, well, I turn the hairdryer on or the vacuum or the coffee maker, but that only runs for a short period of time, right? Even your air conditioner cycles, like it's 15 minutes on.
Well, even
15
something
minutes
like I said, the refrigerators.
Yeah.
When they're just sitting there, the doors are closed. Modern refrigerators don't actually draw that much power.
You know, just when the compressor runs and it's just, if they're not opening the door and staring at it, trying to figure out what to eat, the compressor doesn't usually run that much. Yeah. I mean, I like, I'm kind of a bit of an energy nerd since I've been doing this stuff, but, you know, you can see when the kids ran the dishwasher, it's like, you didn't run the dishwasher. I didn't see the energy being used. So, but yeah, you have this variable use of energy in the house. And I think that's what people only think of the peak when the air conditioner is running. And it's actually, you have to think about the average.
Yeah.
And so when you think about the amount of consumption you're using to power a couple kilowatts, you know, to drive down the road, we do 2 miles per kilowatt hour. Right, roughly for the truck, it's 2.1. So you figure 2.1.
You're using a lot more power to actually move this vehicle
Exactly.
than to power your house.
Exactly. So like just idling through the parking lot, I use less in my house than idling through the parking lot. So from that perspective, you can go 300 miles. So yeah, you have plenty of energy for your house. It's really, it's hard to comprehend, I think. And once people experience it, I think they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, I think the U.S. average household electricity use is I think about 28, 29 kilowatt hours a day.
Yeah, I use 30 as a round number. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, if you've got 100 kilowatt hours, you know, even if you make no changes to your usage in the house, you're still looking at least 3 days.
Yeah, no, I had an outage here during COVID and ran off the truck for 4 days.
Yeah.
And it was like I still had 150 miles or something, and it wasn't even full when I started. And I was telling my wife, I was like, hey, maybe we should turn some stuff off. And you know, and she's like, kept looking at the truck, and I was like, wow, so you can get up. We've done a 10-day test. You can run up to 10 days. So you know, most of your long-term outages are, you know, less than 4 days by easy amount. So
I think that's 4 is about the longest we've had.
Yeah, 4 is about the longest. It's usually about
the 2003 black.
8 hours. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that was we weren't there yet. I was still in a different place in life then, but working on gas engines back then. So it's quite exciting, and I think the way we've intentionally gone through this, where we started with kind of charge management and smart charging, we introduced backup power. We're now doing home power management. Now we're experimenting with the vehicle grid export. Right. The path Ford's taking is really intentional, and it's been a really good cadence, and we've had really good experiences with the electric industry and the utilities and things like that. So it's really kind of fun to be at this leading edge, to be part of this change, and then knowing the opportunity is always been kind of driving force. But now that we have customers using it, is even more exciting. Yeah, because you're seeing how they use it, and you're seeing behaviors that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate you could think about, but the gaming they do and things like that. It's really fun to kind of be a fly on the wall in this and just continue to improve it every day that we have the opportunity to do that.
And so Ryan's part of our DTE pilot of 15 Ford employees. It's starting with 15 Ford employees that have the integration system, the Pro Charger at a Lightning. So for this home power management, so hopefully once we trial with the 15, there will be more progression to wider.
It's a bit of proof by evidence, right? Yeah. And so that's where BG&E turned around in a year, and that was exciting. Like we'd never expected them to say, "Hey, you want to do export?" And it was like, "Well, we just did home power management last year," and they're like, "Yeah, this is great." Yeah. And I think they are a bit surprised at how fluid it worked, right? I mean, I think because it's so new, people don't have, it's a bit like for the customer, they don't understand that you're not using as much power as you might think, right? And so for the utility companies, I don't think they realize, how seamless this can be and how beneficial it actually has the opportunity. They know from calculations, but it's just exciting to see a company like BG and come back out, and it's exciting to see working with DT with 15 of our employees, right? So things like that, and then the various places where we're pursuing interconnection in the utilities really moving forward with us. You would, if you're skeptical like I could have been, this is really exciting to see the advantages that this is moving forward on customers that have the opportunity.
I think it's also like 15 doesn't sound very many, but if you think about those 15 customers having really quite different use cases, different homes, different setups, learning so much about the the makeup of like how people use their energy, rather than it be like, it's not like 15 generic houses on the same.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, that's why.
Learning all these different.
Yeah, when I've talked about systems like this and written about them, talk about, okay, here's the price of the hardware you got to buy, but what your actual cost is going to vary widely depending on what your house configuration is. If you're putting it in your garage and your power, like my house, my power panel is on the wall that separates the house from the garage. So in my case, it would be a very easy installation. I've got a 200 amp panel, everything's right there. No brainer. Probably be, I don't know, $2,000-$3,000 for installation. But in a situation like this, I mean, I'm sure you remember, when Motor Trend, when the Lightning first came out, one of their writers was going to have this installed in his house. He lived in an older 1950s house with a 100 amp panel and a detached garage, and was going to have to upgrade the panel, was going to have to trench and all this other stuff. And the headline was I think something like $18,000. So but I mean that
it's like it's going to be horses for courses.
Yeah,
but that's why the 15 is so interesting.
Yeah.
Every they're all different levels of the company, and all
yeah.
And it doesn't usually resonate, but my house was built in 1845. Like I have this Michigan stone basement. So when we went to install this, it was really don't write that part. Don't write Robin too. But it was really exciting for me because to have an 1845 house, I've done some history on the house, and to know that they didn't have cars, they didn't have plumbing, they didn't even have electricity when the house was built, right? And now my house is being powered by a 2020 truck. Is kind of just crazy for me to imagine that. Imagine the guy who built this house when this was all farm field, and he would have no clue that one day there'd be a garage for one, but there'd be a truck sitting here powering the house when they had candles. So to your point, we've installed in modern new homes where, like you said, ideal service comes in here, main panels right here, garage is right here, right? $800. It all just fits. And then you have my house, we had to trench, you had to figure out how to wire into, because I have like 4 sub panels, right? Because every time they did an addition, they added new wiring. So it's been really exciting to see the variations of the different homes and the way those work. So that to me has been like super, super cool, because we're also learning even just on basic things like installation. What are some of the pitfalls? What are the challenges customers are facing? How can we help them overcome those, and iterating as we go? So same with the product, we're on home power management. We've been doing this for about a year now, and we're learning, and you continue to learn the more houses you go into. So that's one of the cool advantages Ford has, is we are going into I call it the wild, right? We're in the wild right now. We're going into homes where we don't have control over that house. We don't have control over the way they use the vehicle or the way their house runs and operates. And we're seeing and learning how to adapt and how to make this product perfect.
So when do you think might see general availability for DTE customers? Is that something that could happen in 2026?
I can't put timing on it. I think as we move forward, you get through the interconnection. Once interconnection is agreed to and they're comfortable with the way it operates and functions, and we're in that process. Like we're all interconnected. Once they've seen the operation, seen how it interacts with the grid, is it disrupted, not disrupted, then the doors can open. I think this pilot that we're doing with them is more of the signal processing from DTE. So I think they'll be really interested in that. So again, as we have these 15 customers do it in this very dynamic environment, where every house is unique across kind of the Detroit area, it's kind of up to them. We don't control that, but we do negotiate and work with them to make sure that all their questions are answered and they're comfortable with it. And we see, you can see where Baltimore is, right? They were like, what are we doing? And all of a sudden we did V2H, and now we're exporting. Like that was kind of unexpected, right? I mean, it was a really fast pace for an electricity company, and here we are. So it's a matter of the policy piece. You're going to have state policy, you have the utilities policy, and how fast are they willing to go? And so you have, say, Green Mountain Power in Vermont, right? We have a person running in Vermont, and it wasn't really a challenge. They're a very progressive utility company. They saw the benefits of it. They did the quick technical, So we have those experiences with utility companies. We're going to continue as Ford to move.
And Ford's been at this a long time. I mean, I remember, back in 2007 when Ford built that initial fleet of, I think, 20 plug-in hybrid escapes, prototype plug-in hybrid escapes, and give them out to different utilities to start doing some V2G testing. So I've been at this for what, 18 years now. So,
Not me, but
well, the company.
The company's been
and
exploring.
working with a variety of utilities on this stuff. So, it's good to see that we're finally starting to get to a point where, this is becoming a reality for, potentially for real consumers.
In market. Having it in market is the exciting part. Like, the first handful of houses we put backup power in, it was kind of like, but you had confidence in the technology and everything, and then when it went in and it worked, it was awesome.
Yeah.
There are a lot of special moments there, and I'll retire one day and think back to those very fondly, and I look forward to, as this continues to progress, people think of it as normal. So I think the weird part for me is you kind of forget about it. Like, especially me monitoring it and stuff, and I'll still work with the engineers and stuff to make sure it's working properly, and we'll do evaluations that they want to do. But it's interesting that you like watch it and, this is cool, and you sit out here when it comes on, and but then you forget about it. You just plug in, and it's like you come out and it's like, oh, it's green. Oh yeah, I'm powering the house, because there's nothing to really instigate. Like, you don't have to do anything. It's not like other things where you have to like flip a switch or plug something in or try to manage. It just kind of happens magically, and it's that part I think is cool. So building on top of the kind of insurance policy of backup, to your point, there's a lot of unique value there, but then that you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have a generator.
Is that eliminating the friction for users is a key component of this.
Yeah. And I mean, we're going to continue to make it better and better, just as we do with most of our products. So it's a fun space for me. It's probably the longest in my career path role I've been in. So that's been really fun for me because it's never ending. It's cool.
All right.
Change the world.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Change the world. Yeah.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.